If anyone is interested in speaking, good evening. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. It's good to see everybody. I hope you had a very nice holiday. I'd like to ask for you to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Tonight, before we begin, I would like to have a moment of silence for some of the people from Woodside may have known Ed Bergendahl. His full name was Edward Martin Bergendahl. He passed away on December 29th. He was a very proud veteran and civic leader of the Woodside Neighborhood Association. It was Ed who began the 9/11 Memorial at Doughboy Park a few years back. And we want to say rest in peace, Ed, and thank you for your contribution to country and to community. If we could have a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, thank you. So we're going to begin tonight with our public officials, guest speakers. So first up, I'd like to call Assembly Member Brian Barnwell.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Just short and sweet. We're going to announce a couple of events. Well, first of all, I want to thank people who donated to our coat drive and our toy drive. We've collected over 100 toys, 100 coats for those in the community that need them. We worked with our children, and we also worked with Woodside and the Move, and it's been a great success. So thank you, everyone, for donating. We also work with elected officials, Jimmy Van Bramer's office, Mike Gianaris, Sarah Simonis, so thank you for that. I also want to thank the whole community. We all know what happened recently with the fire, and a lot of us came together and raised, I don't remember the exact total, I'm sure, but amazing job for everyone involved, and it shows really what the community can do when they come together. So I think everyone should get a round of applause for one another for that. And then we have an event coming up at the Woodside Library. Hey, Regina, how are you? On January 29th from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. It's the Department of Finance enrollment event. Basically, it's going to help individuals with your taxes. So if you have any questions about your taxes, we do this event a lot throughout the district, throughout the years, and we've helped save people thousands upon thousands of dollars on their taxes, yes. So some people in this room have saved thousands of dollars on their taxes by going to this event. So it's January 29th at the Woodside Library, 1 to 3 o'clock. Come on by, get your questions answered. If you have any questions in the meanwhile about what papers to bring, what documents to bring, you can call our office. It's 718-651-3185, and we'll help you, figure out what documents you need and come save money. I mean, it really is that simple. Aside from that, I'm sure people are here for Amazon. I've spoken about that many times. The plan as is, I'm against it. I've been against it. I never was for it. So really that simple. That's really it. Sure. Regina.
Brian, I know you wouldn't mention it, but how are you feeling?
Oh, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. How are you feeling? That's it. Thanks, guys.
Next up is John Perricone from the Queensborough President's Office. Melinda Katz. Hello, John.
Good evening, everyone. John Perricone with the Queensborough President's Office. Wanted to wish everyone a happy and healthy new year. State of the Borough will be Friday, January 25th, 2019, 10:30 a.m. at the Main Stage Theater at LaGuardia Community College. I have flyers out in the back table. If anyone's interested, you can RSVP at queensbp.org/RSVP. You can also RSVP via phone, 718-286-2661 is the number. And just a quick announcement on upcoming community board applications. The deadline will be February 7th, which I believe is a Friday. There is a modified community board application this year, so you can access that on our website, queensbp.org, right under our community board tab. Renewal applications will be sent to current members who are up for renewal this year. And if you are obviously interested becoming a new member, please log in to our website, and we encourage anyone and everyone to apply. If there aren't any questions, once again, Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you.
Kenny Madrano from Councilmember Jimmy Van Bramer's office.
Happy Thursday, everyone. Happy Thursday, everyone. There we go, there we go. So my name is Kenny Medrano. I'm from Councilmember Jimmy Van Bramer's office. He is the council member that represents the 26th district and represents Sunnyside, parts of Woodside, Long Island City, and parts of Astoria. We want to give a special thanks to everyone that donated to the 9th annual food drive. It went to Queens families. It is well appreciated, much appreciated. As far as Amazon, the council member has been clear with his position. He opposes the deal, specifically the $3 billion tax giveaway to Amazon and the complete circumvention of the local land use process. The council member has a voice and will continue to speak out. On December 12th, the council member oversaw an oversight meeting and grilled Amazon about the behind closed door process in which this occurred. There are more city council oversight hearings that are coming up in January and February. Please contact our office. You can contact me directly, Kenny, and I could give you more information. Like all Sunnysiders, the council member was devastated by the fire that happened here in Sunnyside. Several workers after that day from New York Style Eats came to the office seeking assistance. The council member sat with them, and needless to say, we are all proud as a community how we stood together and helped out people in need when they really needed it. So we know that more than $140K was raised for that, and it proves that we really live by the Sunnyside Strong motto that we are now using as a community, and we want to give a special thanks to Jamie Faye Bean and Sunnyside Shines. Thank you so much. And Denise mentioned the passing of Ed Bergendahl. He's a Woodside legend. I've spoken to him numerous times. He is, as Denise stated, the main person that was the organizer for the 9/11 Memorial Day Parade, and he had a relentless attitude and advocacy for Doughboy Park. With all his contributions to the community and the country, the council member would like to announce that he will introduce legislation this year to rename a street in his honor. We'll figure it out. It's brand new. He just told me today. So, and with that said, in closing, the council member wants to announce the following legislation that passed in December, and that is the street naming in honor of Terry Adams and Gert McDonald. They were both former board members, so please give them a hand of applause. So the street co-naming for Terry Adams will be at 49th Avenue and Vernon Boulevard, and Gert McDonald's street co-naming will be here, 39th Street and Queens Boulevard. Not yet. We have to reach out to the families and sort that out, and then we'll let everyone know. So if you have any questions, any inquiries, you could call the office, which is 718-383-9566, extension 7. Again, that's 718-383-9566, extension 7. I'll be in the back so I can answer any questions or inquiries you have. Thank you. Any questions? All right, thanks. Happy New Year.
Last up is Keisha Johnson from Senator Gennaris' office. Hi. Okay, Keisha is in the back if anyone needs to speak with her. Thank you. Okay, we're going to do something a little bit different this evening. I'd like to ask Jamie Faye Bean from Sunnyside Shines and Melissa Orlando from Sunnyside Chamber of Commerce to please come up. As most of you know, on the morning of December 13th, we woke to the news that an early morning fire had ripped through 6 stores on Queens Boulevard near 45th Street. Some of the stores had been in the neighborhood for decades, and it was a devastating loss for our community. While 11 people were injured, including local firefighters, fortunately, there were no fatalities. Community Board 2 would like to recognize the leaders of our local Sunnyside organizations that work tirelessly to assist and support those impacted by the fire. The first, come up here, I want you to stand. The first is Jamie Bean Fay. She was instrumental in coordinating immediate relief for the owners and workers impacted by the fire. She worked with Small Business Services and the OEM to ensure their questions were answered and relief was provided as soon as possible. She also initiated a GoFundMe page and a fundraiser right here at Sunnyside Community Services. And I don't know if anybody was here. I think I see a few people. It was a beautiful sight to see. She pulled this off with the help, I'm also going to get to Melissa Orlando, within 5 days. So it happened Thursday morning, 4 o'clock that afternoon. I was on a conference call with Jamie Bean and Melissa Orlando, as well as a bunch of other local leaders. And I want to really, really say we are very thankful for your contribution. We really appreciate what you've done for us.
Thank you so much. This is an incredible honor. I'm very humbled. I didn't prepare remarks, but I'll just say that, you know, when you see something like that devastating happen, the only right response is to just do what you can and what you know how to do. And I am very fortunate to have had sort of the background that I have and to be in the right place at the right time to do some of the right things that we needed to have done. And I think that what stood out to me in this experience was seeing the irrefutable proof of what an amazing community Sunnyside is, because even with whatever skill I have and, you know, the skills that all of our team members brought to this, it would never have happened in so many other places. I mean, what made this happen was we have a community that is so passionate about supporting one another. It's really highly unusual here in New York City to have a community that responds in that way, in that sort of very deep emotional way, to the loss of small business, and understanding, you know, that these employees, these business owners, they are part of our daily lives. They're really interwoven into a lot of our major life experiences, our most treasured memories. And that's a New York that not everyone gets to live in. So really hats off to the whole community here in Sunnyside. You are amazing. And I'm grateful that I've had this opportunity to hopefully make a difference at a time when it was needed. Thank you.
So I'd also like to acknowledge Melissa Orlando. She's the president of Sunnyside Chamber of Commerce, and Melissa worked with Jamie to organize the fundraising efforts. She reached out to local community members to recruit volunteers. She too worked through the weekend to ensure the success of the fundraiser, and we are truly thankful for your efforts. Thank you.
I'd just like to, sorry, I don't have much of a voice right now, but I'd like to say thank you to all of the community members that came out and made the event a success and continue to make donations to help the small businesses and you know, our neighbors and our friends. Sunnyside is an amazingly special place, and I'm proud to be a resident here and a member of the community. While we did a great job with the event, it's not without precedent. Sunnyside really has a history of taking care of each other, and I think that's the thing that makes this neighborhood such a great place to live. And again, I'm proud to be a part of this community, and thank you so much.
Look this way, please, look this way. This is your most important.
We're also going to acknowledge Judy Zangwell, but she couldn't be with us this evening, so we'll recognize her next month. But I would like to say, too, also from CB2, I'd like to ask Zarina Andres to please stand up and take a bow. Zarina was very supportive during the fundraiser. She was running around like a lunatic, getting everything done, and we really appreciate your efforts. Thank you, Zarina. Okay. We'd now like to introduce Michael Mirisola from the School Construction Authority.
Hello, folks. Hi. It's good to see you all again. So I'm Mike Mirisola from the SCA. I'm lucky enough tonight to have the architect for our school and why I'm here. We are here to show you what is pretty much the final design, although we're still finishing up the design on the new school on Barnett and 48th Street. So I'm here with John Diaz, and John Diaz is the lead architect for the team that put these drawings together. As you know, last time we came, we talked about the need for the school. We committed to having 4 meetings with the community. The council member put a committee together. We have had our 4 meetings. We got suggestions from members of the community. The first meeting, we came with a blank slate. And then we continued to get suggestions, and each time we came back and we modified to those suggestions. And we think we have something that will please some, not all. We think we have something that will be excellent for your students and for your kids. We will satisfy the need for this middle school and for the seats for this community. Remember the other parameters that we had. We went to work with the State Historic Preservation Office, and their mandate to us was that we should hearken back to the original building. We had discussed, and we knew that many people in the community wanted us to save the garage. We looked at that seriously, and we found that that was just not possible. We went to the State Historic Preservation, and over many, many months, and frankly delaying the school for about a year, they came to the conclusion that yes, we were correct, that saving the building would not make would not give us the need, would not satisfy the needs that a school required. So then they required us to create a building that harkened back to incorporate many of the details and be harmonious to the Sunnyside community, and I think we've done that. So when we went to the first meeting, as I said, we went with a blank slate. And then we got some sketches from one of the members of the committee, and we tried to incorporate that. Remember what our president of the SEA said at the time when we first brought to this project to you. We said, we will give you a building that will probably look more like the original building than the present building. And I think we've done a good job at that. Again, we had to make a school. And one of the things I told the committee on the very first day, and I'm not sure how it went over, but I told the committee, we do not do half-baked schools. We are the School Construction Authority, and we proudly make the finest schools in the United States of America. And I will say that, and I will pass a lie detector test on that. But we do not sacrifice the needs of our kids. So, that said, we tried to do something that would fit the community and the needs of our kids. And so John is going to walk us through the building, and we welcome you to come up and take a look. We'll try, I'm not sure how the light is, I hope you can see. What John has in the first elevation is the
overall rendering of the building, pretty much from 48th Street and Barnett Avenue. So basically I'm sorry?
Is that better? How about over here? How about right here? This is probably the best one. I'll move. Okay, good.
So the first floor, or the first 2 floors, we're trying to mimic, not replicate, but try to reflect back on the building that was there. So the existing building was 2 stories in height. This one, because of the student population and because of the classrooms all having to need light and air with windows, it's a 5-story building. So it's about the same height as the existing co-op next door. We also try to put muttons on the windows on the first 2 levels to replicate the existing building. And from the community members, they felt that the upper portion should reflect a more modern or contemporary look. So the brick at the base of the building is matching as closely as possible to the existing. And the brick above is one of the shades of the brick below, but it's going to be one brick. So that's the base on the right-hand side, which is, yeah. And this is the top 3 floors.
Now, one thing about the brick on the base, we tried to find the exact brick of the old building, but it's not made it. So this is as close as you can get, but it is different.
Yes. The existing building, keep in mind, is over 90 years old. So brick, has been through a lot of technology since then. So it's not as worn, and it'll never match what's there.
Had shoulder surgery done.
So the other thing that we're trying to do is, if you saw from the rendering, we're going to maintain the tower that was there to mimic the tower that was the original part of the building. It's no longer there because they had a fire, I believe, in the 50s, so the tower was brought down, but we're trying to bring the tower back. And the tower had a slate roof, so we're going to have a slate roof as well on the tower to match the slate in the community. So we'll have that. I'm sorry? Is that tower functional? Yes, it's going to act as our outdoor storage room so that the custodian could store his snow blower, brooms, and things like that for the exterior. So it's functional as well as some history to it. Let's see the site plan. So this is a site plan of the building. As you can see, the building is in white, and it's a pretty massive. It's a small site. It appears to be a large site, but when you put a school this size, there's not much area left. So the greenery, we're bringing back some greenery and some play space for the children. They are IS students, so they'll probably go out for gym class or during lunch break, but there's really no recess. So we don't have any early childhood equipment that you normally see in a school because it's strictly an IS school. We also try to create a buffer between the residents along here and the building itself. We put the mass of the building towards the railroad tracks so that really on the train side is where you see the bulk of the building. On the back side, we have different elevations so it doesn't read as a really tall 5-story building.
One of the big concerns with the neighbors immediately to the rear of the building was the old wall that was there. We are going to maintain that wall. It's going to be a process, and it's not going to be easy. So it adds another step in the construction. So we're going to construct a new wall right behind the old wall. And then we are going to tie those 2 walls together, and this is all before we demolish the rest of the building. So that once the building comes down and the construction is going on, the neighbors will not be having the construction in their face, and they will still maintain the old wall. We will have to, of course, repair the old wall. It's in dilapidated condition, and we will have to point it, and we'll work with them, with an arborist, to restore anything from their backyards that gets damaged during the construction.
So as Mike mentioned, we're going to maintain some of the detailing that was on the original building on the first 2 floors. So we're going to do this with the brick, similar to what was done on the old building. And we're keeping the muttons on the windows to basically replicate the windows that were there. So that's just some of the detail work that we're going to be doing. And we typically don't do this in a school because this is expensive to do. But, you know, we want to try to match the existing building as close as possible. So here we have the floor plans. The first floor plan has the cafeteria, the administrative spaces, parents' workroom, and a couple of big kitchen. And we also have a partial cellar. We kept the cellar basically in the same location that the cellar of the existing building is in to not over-excavate the site and impact the the neighbors even more. So we basically just have one classroom on this floor, cafeteria, parent community room, and the cellar is basically not for the students. It's all the back, what we call the back of house spaces. So that's all your janitorial rooms, storage, and so forth. So the kids will not go into the cellar. Okay, the entrance is going to be off Barnett Avenue. It's up there. And we also have a direct exit to the play yard. So it's a see-through, basically walk-through entry, big lobby with the security guard in the middle. So the security guard has control both people coming in from Barnett Avenue and going out to the play yard or vice versa. Yes, we have plenty of emergency exits. So on this floor we have 1, 2, 3, 4 exits for this building.
Onto what streets or avenues?
Okay, so one goes into the two go into the play yard, as we discussed, and 2 go out to Barnett Avenue. So now we pretty much start with all the classroom floors, and as you can see, the classrooms all have windows. And if we were to place the building exactly where the old building was, we're not allowed to have windows on a lot line, meaning if you have adjacent properties, you can't put windows there. So that would limit the number of classrooms we could put along the lot lines, the property lines. So this allows us to have windows basically on 2 street fronts. And what we call a double-loaded corridor, which is very efficient, meaning you have classrooms on either side of the corridor. You don't have like a donut-shaped corridor where supervision, you can't see kids going around the other end of the corridor. So it's a straight shot. Anywhere in the corridor, you have good supervision for the teachers and the kids. Okay, 4th floor again, mostly classrooms. We have a reading resource room, an exercise room. And then the top floor, we have a regulation-sized gym, which also doubles as an auditorium. It's what we call a gymatorium. So it has a stage and has retractable seats so that you can close off this partition there, and it can easily convert to an auditorium function and also have a gym on the other side if you wanted that. Typically, you don't want the noise, but it has that capability. And the rest of the spaces are pretty much classrooms. So it's a pretty big school with a lot of classrooms and a lot of support spaces. So you have music rooms, 2 art rooms, exercise room, cafeteria, and gym. And then the rest are all classrooms.
Yeah, do you have the elevations with you today? Because we asked for it last meeting. And we asked for it to be put online and asked for it to be sent to the board.
So this is the elevation from 48th Street, I think is what you were asked last meeting. So this is the view. These are the residents. So that's the elevation. So we have a lot of levels, so it doesn't appear to be a real massive building on this side.
Going to the elevation, I know that we have had 4 meetings with the committee, and I know that one of the committee's attempts was to somehow descale the building in the area bordering on the homes on 39th Avenue. My recollection was that your building was going to come within 8 feet of the wall. Is that still correct?
Yeah, so basically this corner here comes about 8 feet. The rest of the building, this would be the view from the rear properties.
And could you tell everybody, it's a funny view, but could you tell everybody how high the building comes, or how high is the building at that 8 foot from the community?
That's about 84 feet.
84 feet?
Yes.
Now, that's even higher than you had discussed earlier.
Yeah, we said 80 plus feet.
So it's 5 stories, 80 plus feet.
Correct.
And there is no way of that being moved back away from the neighbors? Not even if you excavated?
Now, as you can see from the floor plan,
Which one?
the other thing we
I
have
assume
here
he
is
means main floor. I
we
don't
have a high water table, so we're trying to minimize the excavation.
How high is the water table? It's the first time I've heard that.
It's about 20 feet below grade. However, our cellars are 14 foot deep, and then with the footings, it would be another 4 feet, so you're right at the water table. And our standard is that any school that's within 5 feet of a water table, we have to treat it like it's underwater. So we don't want to place any educational spaces or any spaces for children in the water table.
Okay, but I still, didn't you indicate you're minimizing excavation, that you only have a cellar and a small portion of the building, I believe,
Correct.
on the Barnett Avenue side, correct?
Correct. And that's only back of house spaces for the custodian.
Right, so there was no way of excavating some of the rest of the lot, for instance, along the 48th Street line, so that you could have perhaps put a gym or something down there?
Well, again, the state education department doesn't allow educational spaces to be below grade. We have to provide
Gym is
adequate,
considered,
Yeah.
okay.
we have to provide adequate light and air for when people spend more than like 45 minutes in a space. So when it's a high school, those rules are out. But for the high school, for let's say 9th grade and under, we have to follow the health code.
Isn't PS 11's area below grade, below?
They probably have windows at the top.
Well, couldn't you do that with a gymnasium too?
Yes, we,
11 has a full lane of windows. PS 11 is not on
it's
one
a slope
elevation.
site.
On your street side, yes. On the back side of the cafeteria, if you recall, when we were there, it's a full length of windows because the building slopes off and there's a playground behind it. So PS 11 is...
We have put cafeterias below grade, and we have a lot of complaints because they feel that the children, that's the time that they have a break from school, and they'd like to have light and air that they want to view, so we even try to minimize putting cafeterias in under the cellar. We have done it in some schools, and I'll tell you, we have a lot of complaints.
I'll pass for other people.
Is the building air conditioned?
It's fully air conditioned.
And in this day, you'll hear a lot about handicap accessibility. Of course, it's fully handicap accessible as well.
Yeah, could you talk about staging of construction vehicles and where
Well,
that
it's a little early to talk about that. We don't have the construction management folks here, but when we get closer, we will meet with the immediate neighbors and we'll work through that. Again, we have a wall there, so that's going to stop most of the noise and dust. We will be staging, of course, on Barnett and on 48th Street, mostly because the longest elevation is on Barnett, and we will stage in the yard. So we have the yard between the neighbors and the school, so that whole backyard will be staging too, to get as much as we can off the street.
Do you think you would close Barnett Avenue?
No, I don't think we'll close any of the streets. At this point, we don't foresee closing any streets. No, we might, we'll be probably putting a bridge, or we'll probably take the sidewalk and maybe the parking lane for the duration when we're erecting the shell of the building.
And one more question, the windows are, I mean, it's close to the train, so what are the?
There'll be acoustical windows. And basically, we've had schools, PS11, Queens. We have it right on the tracks on the Port Washington branch of the Long Island Railroad. You could be in that building, you don't hear a sound.
It's pretty cool. In fact, go to 98's new addition. It's the number 7 train line right by you. Watch the train go by and you barely hear anything.
Hi, Jane. What mortar color are you going to use on the bottom and the top?
Good question. As experienced people know, it's not just the brick, it's the mortar. And yes, we're trying to match the mortar exactly the way it was on the existing building, which is a light gray.
For both or just the bottom?
For both.
One more question. I live around there. There's been some activity. Do you have any idea what that is?
Yeah, they're probably doing probes, subterranean probes to find out what we're going to encounter once we get down there.
We did some what we call borings to determine the soil conditions.
Yes.
Just two quick questions. One is, how many elevators?
There's two elevators.
And then, can you clarify what you said is you don't put schools in the water table?
Yes, so
I just want to know the general.
the water table is groundwater. So when you put, spaces in the water table, you have to waterproof it, and you have to design it to withstand hydrostatic pressure. So you end up losing a lot of space because of the design.
So the rule in general is you don't put schools.
We try not, unless we absolutely have to. There are times where land is very hard to find, but sometimes we won't put a cellar in a building because we don't want to go into the water table.
One question. You indicated that the brick you're using for the, I guess it's the ground 2 stories, you were unable to find the same brick. This is a landmark area, and I know if I have to replace brick in my house, I'm required to use the same brick. It is still available. Did you discuss this with the Landmarks Preservation Committee? They can tell you where to get the brick.
That I don't know. I mean, you could what's the reclaim brick from a building that's similar to yours, but it's never going to weather the same.
Well, I understand that. I understand it's not going to be the same. I'm just saying to you that the landmarks require homeowners to use the same brick, so it is available. And if you call them, they can tell you where to find it.
Okay. This building is not in the landmark district. Right?
No, I understand this is not a landmark.
Right.
But this building, being 90 years old, is a child compared to the buildings around it, which all have the same brick, which is still available. Right. That's all I'm saying to you.
My experience has been, yes, you can find brick, even the existing brick, but if it was stored somewhere, it'll never match because it hasn't weathered.
No, I understand.
The only way you could do it is you can reclaim brick, but that's a very expensive proposition because you basically have to take the brick, clean out all the mortar away from it, and 50% of the brick are going to be damaged when you start taking the mortar out.
All right, so my suggestion, however, is to contact Landmarks. They can tell you where to get the brick. If in fact they can't, then you can ignore this suggestion too.
We have a contact person there. There is a teacher's lounge in the cafeteria.
Parking space. No, we don't provide for teacher parking. It's not part of our. We would not take your parking.
Not a parking, and now where is the teacher going to be parked?
You know what? The same place I have when I bring my car. We do not provide parking lots or parking space for teachers. Yes, sir.
How many children was the conversation?
Right now, 720.
720?
As the superintendent explained at the previous meeting, it'll probably be 4 or 5 years before the school gets fully occupied, because the way they normally do it is they bring one grade at a time. And so it'll be a while before it's fully occupied.
Any other questions? Clara?
Do you know when construction is supposed to start?
In general, I want to say that construction will start sometime middle of next year. However, we will be starting the wall project first, to get the wall erected, and that will probably kick off sometime early spring. Once that's done, the demolition of the building will be started. That will probably start sometime next summer. And then once that's completed, we'll be going into construction, getting all the permits can take 6 months sometimes once you issue the contract. So we figure a real actual construction, probably not this summer, next summer.
Now, what kind of notification would you intend to provide to the homeowners?
We have a community relations person, Danielle Schaff, who will be contacting not only the immediate homeowners, but the adjacent community with our Dear Neighbor letter. We'll send it to the board, we'll send it to all the elected officials, explaining what's going to happen. Should we have to shut a street or something in that, we will do the same thing all at the time. Any major changes that go on.
Like when they're going to start construction?
Yeah, we'll start with a Dear Neighbor letter. We'll have to start construction. Here's the duration of the job, and here's what you can expect.
Will construction be only on the weekdays, or will it?
The vast majority of the construction, because this is in just, for those of you who have ever dealt with the existing school, you know construction goes on after hours and on weekends. This is a normal construction project, so the plan is contractor will work Monday through Friday during normal construction hours. There are times, however, especially getting down to the end, when we're inside the building, where if they lose some time, say it's a bad winter or something, they may want to make it up and get a Saturday permit. It's not often. There are other things that the Department of Buildings and Con Ed, et cetera, will require them to do when there are no workers in the building. Sometimes if you're doing standpipe work and you need, it has for safety reasons, they don't want actual contractors in the building, they'll force us to work on Saturday. If Con Ed is bringing service in, we don't control Con Ed. Sometimes they work on Saturday. But in general, the vast majority of work Monday through Friday.
Regina, it's been answered already, but are you using union labor?
Yes, we're a union job.
Mike, one of the reasons the committee had begged you to keep up the wall on 48th Street, besides the idea of preservation, had to do with the disturbance during construction. Is it possible to try to keep that wall up as long as possible, because you have a playground across the street from it, you have homes across the street from it. I have found during my experience with construction that the rats that have been living in that building for the last 90 years will be disturbed and will try to leave the building in a rush when that wall comes down. I know you're eventually going to be putting up a fence of some kind, but that will not hold anything in. So the question.
The wall stays up. The wall never comes down.
No, I'm talking about the wall on 48th Street.
The building proper itself.
Yeah.
Okay, the building. So the building will be, we will try, but we don't want to impact the general schedule. We have a completion date, an occupancy date on this that's in stone.
I understand
So
that. And the
we will
community
back into-
wants the building open. They do want the school.
We will back into that date and we will try. It's better for us to have a shorter duration on the job than a longer duration. So if that's possible, sure. Okay. Thank you very much, folks. We appreciate it. Yes.
What are those dates, though, the completion of the
Okay, completion date is September, occupancy is September 2022. Okay, thank you again.
Okay, so now we're moving into the public hearing section where we have 3 consumer affairs applications. Members of CB2, residents of CB2 in the area are invited to come up and sign up to speak if you would like to make a comment for or against their applications. We've had the sheets out since the beginning and no one has signed up. So I just want to make sure if anyone's out there that wants to make a comment about the applications, please come up now and sign your name. Okay. I would like to ask the owners of Riku Rico at 4523 Greenpoint Avenue to come forward. Are they here? Lisa, did we invite? What? Did we invite them? They were in, okay, so they're not here. Okay. The next one is an application for an unenclosed sidewalk cafe with 5 tables and 10 seats at Il Soleil, doing business as Soleil Luna at 4345 40th Street in Sunnyside. Would you please come up? Hi. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your business? Good to see you.
See you.
Okay.
Good evening, Happy New Year. I'm here for the renew of the Sidewalk Cafe. I've been there for like 2 years with the Sidewalk Cafe. It's gonna be the same, 5 tables, 10 seats. It's on the side of Queens Boulevard on 40th Street. Yeah. Valerio.
Valerio came to Community Board and we discussed the cafe. It's on the 40th Street side, not on Queens Boulevard side. There have been no complaints about their establishment, and the Land Use Committee voted unanimously to not oppose your application. So if you have anything else to share with people, that's great. Otherwise, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is an application for an unclosed sidewalk cafe with 10 tables and 28 seats at Cool Jag Corp., doing business as the Skillman at 45-20 Skillman Avenue, Woodside, Sunnyside. Are the owners here? No, okay. So we'll talk about it during land use, we'll vote. Okay, good. Attendance.
Serena Andres. Here. Diane Bellick. Carisha Baton. Here. Sandra Bagishka. Here. Bessie Gassaro. Here. Claudia Chan. Here. Osmond Chowdhury. Here. Stephen Cooper.
Here.
Lisa Deller. Here. Sally Frank. Here. William Garrett.
Here.
Kenny Greenberg.
Here.
Richard Gunlack. Absent. Ben Gutman.
Here.
Mohammed Chowdhury Jewel.
Here.
Ellen Kang. Absent. Denise Kean Smith. Here. Adrun Khan. Absent. Nancy Cleaver. Here. Marie Kaneko out sick. Jordan Levine. Here. Sheila Lewandowski. Dominic Lapolis. Here. John McCowan out sick. Elizabeth McKenna. Here. Ty McShane. Here. Tom Matusitz. Dorothy Moorhead. Here. Patrick Murray. Here. Patrick O'Brien.
Here.
Clara Orza. Here. Elliot Park. Absent. Stephen Raga.
Here.
Lakshmi Reddy. Absent. Jeremy Rosenberg.
Here.
Roberto Saldana. Absent. Motri Savard. Absent. Regina Shanley. Here. Michael Sun.
Here.
Lauren Springer.
Here.
Carol Toronto. Here. Welcome back. Mary Torres. Present. Carolina Tosi. Present. Rebecca Trent. Yep. Anthony Tudela. San Vargas. Absent. Maria Magdalena Belima. Okay, we have a quorum.
Good. Okay, would anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes from last month? Steve Cooper. All right.
I read them.
You read them. Fabulous. Thank you. Would anyone like to second? Second. Rebecca, thank you. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Abstain, yeah. One abstention, Debbie.
Two abstentions.
I'm sorry.
Who's the two?
Mary Torres and Sheila.
Nope, I voted yes.
You voted yes, so Mary
She's-
is the other abstention?
Sheila. It's yes, no, or abstention?
It's an abstention. So doesn't affect the vote.
Okay. All right, good. So I'm sorry, forgot to mention earlier, I would like to also thank, CB2 would also like to thank Bernadette Nation of the Office of Emergency Management. She too came out and supported our local Sunnyside community, and we want to thank her for her efforts. We want to congratulate Queens Park Commissioner Dorothy Lewandowski on her retirement from the Parks Department. And we'd also like to congratulate Chief Holmes on her retirement from the NYPD Patrol Borough Queens North. Okay. I'm sorry?
No, we're just talking about relations and never mind.
No, there is no relation.
There is no
I should have said that. There's no relation in the Lewandowskis. Okay, well, I'd like to provide an update on Amazon, what we know, what we don't know. So CB2 has been in touch with the Empire State Development Corporation and Amazon about meeting with CB2. I'm sorry? Was there a comment that needed to be made? Thank you. They are aware, both entities are aware that we'd like to host a town hall with them, and they are receptive to the idea. It is unlikely to occur in January, as we had requested, only because it's a matter of time that we have not had our first CAC meeting, and that's not expected to occur until the end of January. So likely they would have the first town hall within the first 2 weeks of February. Okay, just want to be clear about that. In a larger space than this, I believe I think we'd have a larger audience, maybe down in Long Island City, maybe CUNY Law, perhaps. If you have any suggestions, I'm willing to hear them. Okay. So as I mentioned, the CAC expects to have its first meeting, a full council meeting at the end of January. We expect each committee to meet on a monthly basis, and the full CAC will meet quarterly. One of the agenda items for the first full CAC meeting will be to schedule meetings for the remainder of the year. It is my understanding that the CAC will host town halls or community updates 2 weeks after every meeting to provide an update to the community. Board members have any questions about that? Okay. Sure.
Have they let you know what level of detail they will be sharing with the CAC in these meetings? I mean, I get the sense, since they usurped the ULERP process, we're not going to get that level of detail that we would have through the ULERP process.
I would make that
Are they promising a similar level of detail to the CAC?
Based on the people that will be included in the meeting, I think that it will be fully transparent, and that's my belief. And if it's not, you have people on CB2 that will ensure that it is. Okay? Because we don't want to waste our time either. Okay? But we believe that it will be. It's important to note, just as you mentioned though, no plans have been developed. There is no plan at this point. There's been proposals, but there is no plan. So the expectation is that once the CAC is formed, there are going to be 3 separate committees. Those individual committees will work on specific items that have been assigned to them. And then once we discuss that, then the plan is created. But until that time, we have nothing to vote against or in favor of. Okay? Questions on that? Okay, so that's all I have for Amazon. Does anybody want to discuss anything else related to Amazon on the board right now before I move on?
Can I say something?
No, this is for board members only. This is our board meeting.
Still on the Amazon?
Amazon, yeah, I would like to, if you have any other questions about Amazon, I will share with you what I know. I think so, don't you? Because it was a land use item.
I just do have a question. Just to reiterate what you said, so there's no plan in terms of what's going on the site except that it would be sold to Amazon? Is that, I'm just not clear.
There's a general area that we're familiar with that has been released. That's the proposed area, but we don't know yet for sure if that's what has been agreed upon between the two parties. That's the point. It may have. Yeah, in land use, and Andrea, I'm so sorry, I forgot. Okay. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, Ty, what did you say?
No, I'm just interested that, I thought you had said there's really no true proposal yet.
Right.
But maybe it's just we don't know yet.
No, there's nothing there yet. No, we don't, I think it's just a proposal. I really don't think there's anything there yet. Ben?
There was another committee being discussed. I think it was in regards to like the infrastructure. It might have been the funds from the pilot. Or has that been formed, or has there been any movement on that one?
What's happened is there are 3 committees. The first one is the project plan. The second is networking infrastructure. And the third is workforce development. And so the committee, we're working through which people are assigned to which committee. I don't know that that has been finalized yet. But the subcommittee that all the co-chairs are meeting on January 14th. And at that time, we should know more about who's serving on.
So I don't mean like a subcommittee of it, though. I think there was like another board that was discussed at one point. I saw in a few articles. I mean, maybe that's coming down.
The community board in Astoria, is that what you're talking about?
No, there was
Empire
something.
State Development?
There's something involving like the lockbox of the funds that would be from the payment in lieu of taxes that would be spent on LIC
I
infrastructure.
have no knowledge of that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I can find it. I can ask.
Yeah,
So
I'll try to find it.
what is it, Ben?
I believe there was a second board. There was the community advisory unit. What was it? Council, whatever it was.
Council.
And then there was another body that was supposed to be also, I don't know if it was supposed to be formed now, it was formed later on, after payments were coming in, that part of the pilot funds would be earmarked for that to go towards LIC, in particular, infrastructure improvements.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that. Yeah, the only thing I know about is the $180 million that was allocated to Long Island City infrastructure that has no bearing on Amazon, has no connection with Amazon whatsoever. That $180 million will still be used for infrastructure improvements.
Okay, I'll try to find
So I don't know if I answered your question, but you could send me an email and we could talk about it. Yeah, Jeremy.
Are we going to discuss the letter now or at the land use section?
Lisa and I were just talking about that. I think we're going to discuss it at the land use because it was created within the committee. So I think that's appropriate.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions on Amazon? I don't want you to feel like you're not informed. I'm sharing with you everything I know. Nancy?
I know, and thank you for the hours and hours that you and Lisa and the Land Use Committee are devoting to this issue. I think it should be acknowledged by everyone on the board that this is sorry, now I forgot my question. But I did want to say,
Welcome to my
I
world.
had a question about the town hall and whether, does Amazon need to, I don't see the need for Amazon to agree to come for us to schedule one. Is that a stipulation for you and for land use to hold?
Well, we talked about it, yeah. I mean, we did talk about it because we want to know what they're doing. So that was the purpose of inviting them, as well as the Empire State Development Corporation. We want to hear from them. What are your plans? What are you looking to do? You know, as in this forum, people can come up and make comments all they want, but if the people that are, you know, the owners are not in the room at the time, I think it's more helpful if people can have an opportunity to ask questions and you know, possibly get feedback. And I think at this point, and I may be incorrect in saying this, but I think a lot is just not known at this point. I think they're still looking through the specific areas. You know, we had done a whole waterfront development working group through the Land Use Committee a couple of years ago. So we identified areas that needed to be taken care of before any development occurred, et cetera. So, you know, it's been in the works for a few years, you know, that we've been looking at this. Dorothy, did you have a question?
Yeah, is it possible to save the school lunch authority building,
The
WBA
DOE building?
Yeah.
The DOE building, yeah. I mean, that's a discussion item, definitely.
Are we voting on the letter today?
Yes. It was emailed out earlier today. Okay? Okay, one more time. Anything else on Amazon? Because I don't want people to feel like we don't talk about it. I mean, that's some of the feedback that I get from some of you that, you know, we don't really ever get a chance to sit down and talk. We just don't. This is our only forum. We only meet once a month. It's not, you know, not a very intimate forum, but I want people to feel like they can ask questions, and if I don't know, then I'll email you once I find out. But you know, at this point, it's still very early in the process. Okay. Okay. So another hot topic, sort of. CB2 continues to receive calls from Sunnyside residents expressing concern about the inability of fire truck buckets to reach the 6th-floor apartments in our older buildings. And this is an update. I personally wrote a letter to Commissioner Nigro asking the FDNY to conduct a test on Skillman Avenue with the truck stabilizers fully engaged. Okay, so we did that a few weeks ago, and the Commissioner's office did respond, acknowledging receipt of the letter, but because it was the holidays, they didn't give us a specific date. But I will continue to follow up, and I think that's important for public safety and to allay the community's fears about possible dangers. Any questions on that? Sandra.
41st Street and 48th Avenue, I've seen them have to go across the sidewalk to get up 41st Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
They
So
can't
that's
get around the corner.
40. I just want to get clarification. 41st Street and 48th Avenue.
48th Avenue, there's Greenpoint, and it's like how it used to be, going up 41st. They can't now because there's a round sidewalk that was put in as part of this new
Yes,
thing.
I know what you're referring to.
I have seen them just go right across it because they just want to get to where they're needed.
Okay, so I'll bring that up as well. Thank you. Any other questions? Oh yeah, Regina.
Shortage of parking in the pedestrian crossing areas on Skillman Avenue at least, and probably on 3rd and 43rd also. I don't know how they're getting in between those poles, but they're parking in the lanes that are meant for the pedestrians and for the park. For their
cars?
Well, there are cars and trucks and delivery trucks. They're parking all over the place. I don't know whether they don't know or whether they don't care, but they're parking in the areas that are pedestrians definitely.
Okay, well, I think it's because they have businesses there, and the trucks don't have any other place to go, and cars.
I'm only complaining because it makes it harder for pedestrians.
Oh, I agree. I agree. But I think those poles are flexible, so I think that's why they're able to park there. They shouldn't be parking there, but that's why they, yeah.
It doesn't help me with pedestrians across the street.
Okay.
It's more dangerous because you really can't see any better. In fact, it's harder to see around it because it's structured most of the time. So, you know, you have to look around to see what's coming, and it's...
Okay. Any other comments or concerns, questions about that? Okay. The other one, Carol Trano, Windward Gardens group, your civic group, complained about the proposed new 4-foot fence at Little Bush Park. You prefer to keep the existing 7-foot fence. So just so you know, we wrote a letter to the parks supporting that and asking them if they would keep it 7 feet.
Say again.
We wrote a letter supporting the Windward Gardens request.
That'll hold it up even longer. I could have given birth to about 4 kids by now. I mean, it's a joke.
Okay, and I'd also like to announce, as part of my update, that Sheila Lewandowski will be the new chair for Transportation Committee, effective immediately. Debbie Markell, District Manager's Report. Oh, I'm sorry.
Before you sit down, I know it's a pain, but we have this situation continuing on Skillman Avenue and 43rd Avenue with the bike lanes, especially Skillman Avenue where it became one lane. Any updates on that?
I continue to press DOT.
But no update, nothing has happened.
No. But it's been discussed every month since the implementation.
Have any validity or any purpose in perhaps bringing it to the attention of our new acting public advocate?
Yeah, why not? Look, I'll try anything. Yeah. Okay.
Are you taking comments from
If you behave yourself. And that's, you know.
Unless you ever went out and have one of those babies.
One of my neighbors gave me this newsletter from the Newtown Civic Association. It's quite interesting. And they're raising issues, as are we, about these hotels that are going up along Queens Boulevard, where anybody who has a semblance of a brain knows that they're not going to be hotels, that they're built as hotels. There's no need for hotels in that area. We're not that close to the airport. So it's a guise to make them homeless shelters. And is there anything that we can do proactively? You know, I mean, they're putting a hotel right next to the firehouse on Queens Boulevard. Who would ever want to be in a hotel next to a firehouse?
Well, people from out of town that don't know that it's next to a
What's
fire.
that?
Probably people from out of town that don't know it's next to a firehouse.
Well,
it is possible.
Or
but
people who are deaf.
what we do So what we do, no, I know, because I live right there too, so.
Seriously, is there anything that we, as a community, can do besides maybe hold our council members' feet to the fire?
Well, what we have done previously, CB2 has done, is that we provide the address to the Department of Homeless Services, and we ask them, do you have plans to convert this to a homeless shelter?
No.
Carol, I mean,
I'm very cynical about it. I'm not angry with you.
No,
But the whole situation, it seems to me, this is all happening in my community. I don't see it happening in other communities to the extent that it is in ours. We have a great big police department building. We have sanitation near us. We have a homeless shelter near us. We're inundated, like dumping on Woodside. Just keep dumping it over in Wynwood Gardens.
And
God
Blissville.
forbid if you didn't Sunnyside Gardens.
Don't forget
That
Blissville.
would never happen because they have an elected official living there, so nothing happens there, but plenty of things happen where we live. And I just think I'm getting a little tired of it. And people in our community, you know, I don't know what to do. I feel that we're getting the dirty end of the stick. I don't mean I feel like it, I know it.
okay. Have you reached out to your council member?
He's kind of interested in Juniper Park.
Okay.
You know, maybe if it happened at Juniper Park, something would happen. We will get in touch with him.
Okay. I can check in with him too.
What's that?
I can check in with him too and see if he knows.
We'll get in touch with him and see what's going to happen. Something has to happen.
Well, and actually, we're referring to Bob Holden, Councilman Bob Holden, and usually his rep is here. He's not. He wasn't.
Problem with the homeless is that's a given, and I feel very badly about that. But besides putting it into middle-class neighborhoods, there has to be another thing to do. Maybe find out why these people are homeless and address that issue.
Right. I mean, the mayor. Yeah. This has been ongoing for a couple of years. We.
Oh, I know.
We, you know.
All right.
We've done a lot of work with the Department of Homeless
Well,
Services.
the Newtown Civic Association, maybe do something, like put up a picket line on Queens Boulevard. Do that on rush hour, see what happens.
Okay. Regina.
Denise, I probably should ask Kenny rather than you, what's happening with the former Phipps playground? The last I heard when we were talking about renaming it was that it was still hadn't been purchased yet.
It was purchased.
It's still sitting there, nothing's, I mean, people are asking me that, but I'm asking you.
We can talk.
Thanks.
I don't. No, we don't have any additional information.
I realize it should have been kept.
Okay.
So,
We can find out.
thank you.
Debbie, you're up.
Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome back.
As you could see, we have a new banner. People have asked for it for a long time, so we figured out how to get it. So now everybody knows who we are.
Did Mexico pay for it?
I want to thank the community on behalf of myself, Denise, our staff, and all of the board members for a very successful Troy Drive. You all came out, you helped our children in need, and we want to say thank you. Everybody who got, they were very grateful. And everybody who donated will get thank you notes from the Metro, I believe. As John Perricone said, there's new board applications. It's also on our website, so you can look. The due date, if you got your renewal, it's up for renewal. February 8th, it must be into the Borough President's office. It doesn't come to us. It goes straight to the Borough President's office, so I want to make sure that you're aware of that. Keep watching our website. We're trying to make it better and better every day. We are going to clean it up a little and take some of the old 2016 things off of there that are no longer pertinent or active. You could always get a copy from our office. And we want to keep it as current as possible. We're linking to as many agencies and updates as we can. So if you have any suggestions, of course, let us know. But we're keeping it very active. The Queens Zoo is looking for volunteers. So you can email them at qzvolunteers@wcs.org if you want to volunteer for the Queens Zoo. Again, we're open for complaints. Let us know. We'll try to resolve and update you on anything that comes along. And as soon as we have the updates, we bring them back to you. Thanks.
The Transportation Committee has not had a meeting since before our last meeting, but I do have a couple of updates. You may remember, or members of the committee, we received a request for a street seats application on Jackson Avenue. And the Transportation Committee was concerned about the location because it is on a truck route. It's right on the corner of 44th Drive in Jackson. So we asked if the DOT would consider a different location, and they did. I met with John O'Neill from DOT, and we sat in my car for an hour and looked to see what kind of traffic goes on. So that will be considered for a full vote. Sheila Lewandowski is going to take the lead on that, and she will be working with the DOT to coordinate a town hall in that area to get community feedback from the people that actually live right there, and see if those people are in favor of it or opposed, or what the consensus is. And then the Transportation Committee will take a vote. We were planning in February, but now it might possibly be moved back to March, and then it will come before the full board. We also received, any questions on that? We don't have a date yet, but we think it's going to be about January. What? Yeah, okay, I'm not done. What are you rushing me for? That's why we put all this first, so I wouldn't feel. CB2 is notified by DOT that community boards no longer approve speed bumps. It is considered a safety issue, and DOT will make the full determination as to whether or not a speed bump is feasible on a specific street from this day forward. That is under the full review of DOT, and the meeting is Monday. So we expect John to have an update on that on Monday. Yeah, we haven't had a Transportation Committee meeting since the last full board meeting. Yeah.
Just wanted to clarify, even though we don't make the decision, we can strongly recommend and write letters asking for certain.
Absolutely. Right. But DOT ultimately does the feasibility study, okay?
Will they be continuing to notify us of what areas they're considering?
That's a good question. Yeah.
It's in question.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Well, we'll have to ask for it, but. One city bench was unanimously approved by the Transportation Committee at the location of 2720 Jackson Avenue. And just so you know, the next Transportation Committee meeting is Monday, January 7th at 6 p.m. at our office on 50th Street. And next up is city planning. Oh, I'm sorry.
I know I just sent it a couple of days ago about the unannounced closure of some of the entrances at the Vernon Jackson spot.
Yeah.
Did we get any?
Yeah. Do you have an update there?
We reached out, we didn't get an update.
To MTA. I don't think we were notified on that.
We changed it now, MTA liaison. I don't know if she's on vacation or what, so we
Yeah.
did reach out, we haven't gotten an update.
We have a new person. Okay. City planning, Corley Ayers, right? Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Wishing you a happy new year. I've just got 2 items to update you on this evening from City Planning. They're both text amendments that are pre-ULIP currently. The applications are still being finalised. One of them is the Court Square Block 3 text amendment, which is a private application by Tavros Capital Partners. And that's pertaining to a zoning text amendment, basically to facilitate the development of a 45-storey mixed-use building at 2310 45th Avenue in the Court Square sub-district. And the second text amendment is the Manor Products application, which is permitting the expansion of their existing warehouse and manufacturing use and qualifications for an enlargement to that existing site so they can consolidate operations. We are anticipating that City Planning Commission will refer both applications by the end of the month. Yes, the Block 3 Court Square Amendment.
Yeah.
That was basically a text amendment to sections 1117.421 and Appendix B of Article 11, so this is all very jargon heavy, but predominantly it's to accommodate bulk modifications and a revised setback, which is typically a 60 feet setback, and it's to accommodate a lower rise building height. To get a lower building height, because otherwise it was quite a constrained lot and it would have necessitated quite a tall building. So to accommodate the floor area.
Interesting. I'd really love to hear more about the lower height.
The lower height but also joints, does this mean more bulk at a lower?
It means as a modification to the bulk regulations, but it was seen to be...
More bulk at the lower height or?
Yes, it's rather than having a skinny, extremely tall building. This is prior to me coming on board, obviously, so I have limited knowledge of the details of this application.
But we haven't seen this yet, and so...
It's a text amendment.
Right, and so it goes through full ULIP?
It's not full ULIP, but it's certainly referred to the board for comment, and that'll be by the end of the month.
And who's the developer of that site?
Tavros Capital Partners.
Tavros?
Correct.
Can you send us their contact?
Yes, certainly can.
Thank you.
Is that supposed to be residential? It can be residential, but at this stage I believe it is intended for a hotel and also residential.
Is that along right by the train?
It's within the Court Square sub-district.
Yeah.
So it's consolidated smaller lots currently. So it is within the, right within the transit zone.
What was the address again?
The address is 2310 45th Avenue.
Yeah, 23rd Street, yeah.
Hi.
There is a rumor going around again, this is been going around for years, block on Skillman Avenue, between 51st and 50th Street is being sold for a big apartment building. Really includes the Common Cattle and supermarket that's supposed to own the block and several other stores. Have you heard anything about that?
I'm sorry, no, I haven't. No, I'm not privy to that one, but I can certainly follow it up for you. Yeah.
This rumor has happened over and over through the years that somebody said people at Copper Kettle have told her it's happening and they're very upset on it.
Okay, sure. No will follow up. Any other questions?
I actually still want to come back to this because I'm concerned about a change to something we haven't seen. Is city planning going ahead and, I mean, comments, does that mean we actually get to provide a vote? Or are we just,
Oh, it's still going through a public review process. It's
Okay.
just typically a condensed time frame because it's not a zoning amendment, it's a
so
text amendment.
what is the time frame?
I think usually between 30 to 60 days, but
Do you
that'll
know what it is specific to this project?
No, because that is stipulated by the City Planning Commission upon their review.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, that'll be determined at the next review hearing, which I believe is at the end of January.
Thank you, Carly.
Thanks.
Any other questions from board members? Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good
Happy
night.
New Year. Yeah, thanks for being here. Lisa Deller from, for Land Use.
Hi. The first item on the agenda, we should vote, right, before we talk about anything. There are 3 items which are all consumer fare applications for various renewals of sidewalk cafes. The first one is the Apu Food Corp, which is actually the Rico rotisserie chicken restaurant on the corner, 45-23 Greenpoint Avenue. They did come to the Land Use Committee meeting. We talked to them a little bit about the location, the site, some comments people had about noise and vendors adjacent to them who were being disruptive on the street. They also, their application reads 12 tables and 24 seats, but actually they said they only have 10 tables and 20 seats, but we have not received an amended application, and they are not here tonight. So, Steve?
How can we vote on it if we have
I would say that we table this.
I move to table
Okay, good, let's table it. That's number 1.
I think you got a call vote.
All in favor of tabling it? Okay. Second?
Now all those in favor.
Now, wait. You made a motion to table it. Who seconded it?
I'll second it.
Okay. Bessie could
Call the
second
question.
it. Call the question. All in favor of calling the question? Okay. And do you want to do it as a roll call vote? No, we can do it by hand.
No.
Okay. All in favor of tabling this item? Anyone opposed? Abstain? No. Okay, great. That's Rico Food. Number 2 item is Sole Luna, 5 tables and 10 seats on 43rd-45 40th Street. It's on the 40th Street side of the restaurant. They've been a neighbor of good standing, and we unanimously voted in favor of it. Dorothy, do you have?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the application.
Anyone second?
Second.
Steve, let's Steve second it. Okay, all in favor? Anyone opposed?
Anyone opposed?
Any abstentions? Okay,
Unanimously approved.
great. The next item is renewal of the unenclosed sidewalk cafe for the Skillman, which used to be the Dog and the Duck, at 45-20 Skillman Avenue. There was a change in ownership, and so this is the new owner applying for the renewal. Dorothy? I should also say the Land Use Committee unanimously supported the application. So, anyone want to second it? Tina. I'm gonna. Tina. Carolina, Betsy, somebody. Carolina Toasty seconded. And all in favor? Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Great.
Unanimously approved.
Terrific. Okay. Amazon. So, we mailed out, we drafted a letter, the Land Use Committee, since November 13th, we've all been talking nonstop about Amazon, right? Is anybody on this committee not talking about Amazon all the time? So, we felt, the executive committee, land use committee, we all felt that the community board should make a statement about where we are about this, and we drafted this letter, which I hope many of you have read. And so what it does specifically is it goes on record talking about, you know, that we were excluded from the review process by, you know, through the ULURP review process. But really what we fully intend to do is to work with you all as the community board and have the community board be represented, your feedback, your knowledge, your concerns be fed back to all the various committees based on everything we've done now for how many years? You know, numerous years. Everybody who's worked on the LICIC, the Innovation Center, and the Annabelle Basin project. We've been doing this now for at least 4 or 5 years, if not way longer than that. And so the wealth of knowledge that we have is not to be understated. We've been on record for many years about this at scoping meetings, you know, during ULURP review. And so this is really a statement that goes on record to say that we're here, number one, that there really is no plan right now. There's this memorandum of understanding, this MOU, which is like, we intend to do this. And, you know, an MOU is nothing more than an agreement to move forward together with the city and the state and Amazon, to move forward together with them to house Amazon here, right? And so, but the MOU, I mean, what we say at length here actually is really the MOU and the parameters of the geographic area are really a matter of concern. And it's a mystery, I think, to all of us how the sites that are included in what's called the GPP are in the GPP. I mean, there are city-owned sites that are designated specifically for Amazon. There are privately owned sites that are in this GPP that seem to have nothing to do. The proposal. There are sites that seem to be in the proposal that look like they were on a map in the MOU, right? They were on a map in the MOU, and it looked like these privately owned sites that had nothing to do with Amazon were in the geographic area. There were sites that we've been talking about as including in the geographic area, like the easternmost head of Annabelle Basin on Vernon Boulevard, where Paragon was before. That would enable continuous access around the Amazon basin. That wasn't in that map. And so, you know, we kind of talk at length here about the concerns, and that that many of us have been appointed to be on this community advisory committee, many of us in this room, and we want to be able to not just do this as individuals. I think any of us who worked on this didn't see it that we're doing this. We're doing this because we're community board members. And, you know, we are you and you are us, right? And we can only take what we hear here and what we've heard in Long Island City and the Hunters Point, you know, all of the organizations that we all work with. We can only take this and feed it back through our ability to be vocal in you know, the room with people who are decision makers. So that's pretty much what the letter states, that we're gonna, you know, that we're gonna have meetings, we're gonna feed back to you, we're gonna invite people to be here, and yeah.
I just don't really know that everybody's really had a chance to look at it themselves. Can we just read the letter?
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay. I have it here. No, I can read it.
We should do it Relay reading.
Okay. Dear ESDC and New York City Economic Development Corporation, Community Board 2 was notified on November 13th, 2018, that Amazon had selected Long Island City as a site of one of their 2 new headquarters. As our mandate under the New York City Charter obligates us to fully review all matters pertaining to the general welfare of those who reside within our community district, including land use planning and development and the provision of essential infrastructure and services, it is incumbent upon CB2 to thoroughly examine the impact of this plan on CB2 residents, who will be the ones most immediately and directly affected by its outcomes. CB2 is particularly concerned that the actions taken by New York State and New York City in connection with this announcement have removed the site from the New York City's Uniform Land Use Review process, and therefore eliminated CB2's statutory ability under the New York City Charter to carry out that mandate. Instead, they have made this project subject only to New York State approval by the Empire State Development Corporation. At this point in time, there's no final iteration of the plan, and its final details cannot be known. Accordingly, there's insufficient available information for CB2 to either embrace or oppose it. And this letter is not intended to express or suggest any ultimate position that may be taken by CB2. Rather, it is intended to be an expression of our concern over both the process that led to this announcement and many aspects of the plan itself, which need to be extensively reviewed, vetted, and finalized before a consensus position can be voted on by CB2 members. We are extraordinarily mindful of the enormity of this project, particularly when it is considered in the larger context of the recently presented Annabelle Basin rezoning proposal and other current and future development that will occur in the immediate area surrounding the Amazon site, and the significant and well-taken opposition that has been expressed by local elected officials, community-based groups, and individuals to numerous aspects of this plan. CB2 expressed many of these concerns in a letter to the New York City Department of City Planning regarding said Annabelle Basin rezoning proposal on January 18, 2018, a copy of which is attached. Each of those concerns are applicable to this plan and in fact magnified exponentially by its staggering scope. We are also mindful of the stated job growth, and economic benefits that it is claimed will be realized by the larger New York State and New York City area beyond our community district. The extent of CB2's knowledge of the details of this plan are set forth in the 32-page Memorandum of Understanding sent by the New York State Urban Development Corporation, New York City Economic Development Corporation to Amazon on November 12, 2018. The MOU, however, does not include many essential details, such as the final design decisions or additional community benefits for CB2 residents necessary to enable CB2 to assert a final position in this matter. By way of illustration and not limitation, the MOU provides the GPP would create new geographic boundaries for consideration, but only a portion of the GPP area includes the Amazon HQ2. In addition, 2 of the parcels included in the GPP are privately owned and would otherwise have had to go through EULA but for this plan. Furthermore, much of the geographic area is inconsistent with the discussion CB2 has had with New York City agencies to date with respect to the development of other parts of the area which are now excluded from that process, whereas it had previously been agreed to that it would be considered as part of the LICIC Annabelle Basin rezoning. The eastern edge of Annabelle Basin on Vernon Boulevard, formerly considered part of the comprehensive planning area and considered as a gateway to the continuous waterfront access plan, is now excluded from the GPP, so is the site known as Lake Vernon. There is no mention, explanation, or justification of these inconsistencies, or why
some private interests other than Amazon have been included as a beneficiary of this plan. CB2 has spent thousands of hours working in good faith with EDC and DCP to provide meaningful community input for other major development projects in the immediate area of the Amazon site. We will continue and redouble those efforts in connection with this plan. To that end, we will provide relevant information updates both in our regular public meetings and on the CB2 website as and when we have any such information. We will also sponsor town hall type events beginning in 2019 that will provide an opportunity for all interested persons and entities to be heard with respect to any and all aspects of this plan. For many years, CB2 has consistently and continuously called for a comprehensive approach to planning that would balance new development with the urgent needs of residents and businesses for affordable housing, schools, transportation improvement, parks and open space, light industrial and artist workspace, social services, and 21st century resiliency measures that would protect Hunters Point area and any development within it from the impact of rising sea level and climate change. We remain focused and engaged in ascertaining and assessing every aspect of this plan as they relate to each of these concerns and any others that exist until a determination and vote can be made on its final iteration as to whether it is in the best interest of CB2 residents. CB2 representatives have been invited to join the Community Advisory Committee and will have a new role in helping to determine the development plan for the general project plan geographic area. As community board members, we're responsible for ensuring that CB2 is kept apprised of the CAC progress and has a meaningful voice in such an integrally important development affecting our community. We will maintain a strong and consistent voice, consult with our members, and make such comments and recommendations as will assure that CB2's ultimate position on this plan will be fully informed and reflect the best interests of CB2 residents. CB2 invites ESDC, New York City EDC, and Amazon representatives to regularly attend our monthly public meetings, land use, and other committee meetings. CB2 also looks forward to hosting town hall type events related to these matters to which you will be invited to participate so that the complete and detailed information regarding the progress and planning of this project can be made available to all constituents, including the residents of the CB2, whatever, community district. Very truly yours.
Take a drink of water.
Jeremy. I'm sorry, Jeremy.
Thanks for reading all that out loud. Is there, so this has been sent already? Or can we amend or propose to add some things to the letter as a board, or?
Sure.
I guess, can I do it now?
Well, if we're going to amend it, should we put it on the floor first so it amend it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess that's what, so, Steve.
Okay, I move that the letter that was just read to all of us and sent to all of us be approved by the community board.
Anyone want to second that?
Second.
That the letter as it is be approved and
it's been seconded.
Sent out as it is.
And it's been seconded. Now you can take amendments.
Okay, so do you want to offer an amendment?
Yes, I'm just concerned about, so kind of like what Nancy said a little bit earlier, I'm worried that the letter, while it does address a lot of important concerns, doesn't include how concerned people are about the severe issue with displacement and also Amazon's involvement with ICE. So I'm wondering if we could add that.
Well,
May I speak?
no, I'm sorry. So one thing that we've been focusing on in writing this letter is what Community Board 2 would have statutory authority if it were going through ULURP. Like, what would we vote on? We would vote on the size of the buildings, on the geographic area, whether or not it would rehouse people who were displaced. I don't know that we can, there's some things I don't know we can affect.
Such
Yeah.
as ice.
Such as ice, yeah.
The thing that I do think adding something when we're talking in the concerns about displacement.
Yeah.
That definitely. As far as their actual business practices, the only thing that maybe, and I'm putting it out there, we could say is, and as CB2 supports fair labor practices,
But, I mean, that could apply to any company.
Of course it could,
Yeah.
but that's actually part of why I'm saying it. You know, it's not, because we can, I agree with what Lisa said and what Denise said, we don't have a vote on who their clients are. You know, but, so that would be a way I would think about maybe, but
I would, one other thing I would say is you know, as an attachment, we were including this January 19th letter that we've already submitted actually to EDC as part of the scoping process, which really does go on record talking about fair labor practices. And we've always kind of been on record about that, yeah.
And that's attached to the letter and going out with the letter.
Yeah, that's going out with the letter.
If I may, your concerns are real, but this letter, I believe, the purpose of it is to put Amazon and everybody else on notice that we want to be involved, we will be involved, and we need the information. That's what it's saying. It's not, we're intentionally not taking a position of we don't like Amazon or we don't like development, but letting them know we're going to deliberate on this whether you like it or not. And the faster and more cooperative you are, the more cooperative we can be in trying to evaluate the proposal. That's the intent of the letter.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Ty.
I just wanted to add that there'll be more opportunities.
There'll be a lot of opportunities.
So I think the letter is very appropriate as is, just my personal take on it.
Nancy.
For now.
Well, I do have to commend you on, I'm sure that took a lot of time, and it's a really responsible letter, but there's a very short window here for us to continue to be a megaphone for the community, which is really the only role we have left right now because we've been stripped of our powers, right? And so it almost seems like the premise of the letter, again, it goes into so much detail about how much expertise and how much work has been done by this community board. It's right now as if we're burying the lead which should be our outrage over the not getting a ULERP process and not having a process. I would advocate just to amp those up and put them earlier in the letter because, you know, this isn't just a letter for the Empire State Development Company, it's going to be a letter for the community. And so it has to be something that I think instills confidence in the community and us to be that advocate. So that would be my advice on that. And I would just say one other thing. Although we don't know what the particulars of the plan are, we absolutely know enough about how this deal was cut, how much money Amazon has to gain from our city, and how they just trampled over our processes here in New York City. And I, for one, I mean, this is not the only example of this, right? This is a pattern of disregard from this administration for community voice. And this letter can be a vehicle for expressing it.
I hear you, and I think all of us individually have very strong feelings about this, either way, right? And there are a lot of us in the room have strong feelings about it. And I, you know, my intent is really to focus on what we intend to do, what we want them to be here at meetings. We want to talk about the air. We want to talk about resiliency. We want to talk about the need for schools, and we want to talk about displacement and all the small businesses that are going to need to be rehoused. And so that's the kind of dialogue we want to start.
They won't have a dialogue.
Order, do not speak out of turn.
I actually completely agree. Not actually, we agree on many things. But I look back to the initial letter that we sent about how EDC bypassed the community board on the prior thing. So I do think the outrage that we feel that the process has bypassed our ability to participate in the discussion should be up front.
I think that's.
Could the whole letter be that last sentence that you just said? I mean, to be honest, you could just say we're outraged that we've been cut out of the process.
Well, I think it should start with that, but I do think that pointing out all these other things and even referring to the year that we spent with scoping sessions and EDC and everything.
She did. She said thousands of hours.
Thousands of hours. And I mean, the ideas that we've already contributed, we are not starting from square one here. We are starting way beyond square one. Somebody's starting from square one in this dialogue, but it's not anybody in this room. And so, you know, I guess that's where I've come to in a lot of the succession. Ty, did you?
In the interest of time,
Yeah.
do we want to get this, in other words, I'm not comfortable with saying we're going to switch something around and then voting on it. So time-wise, is it more beneficial to just get this out today, or you know what I mean? What's the timeline for this?
You know, I think it's beneficial in going on record, having the community board go on record in stating a position. It's not an outraged position. It's not. There are plenty of people, honestly, who, you know, who are expressing a lot of outrage, and I might personally feel outraged. But we have a role, and we want to be respected for our opinions and for what we can present. And I just don't. I want to contribute, you know, in a way that we can make a difference. And so.
Writing an angry letter is not going to get us invited to the table to have these discussions.
That's correct.
That's the bottom line.
Exactly. This is very measured and very.
Lisa, I think it's fair to say that in the drafting of this letter, there was great consideration given to exactly the point that you raised. Are we pissed off and we're not going to take it anymore and we'll say it in bold type? Or are we going to craft something that will express the responsible position of a city chartered agency for what's going on here, and that we don't care what you say, we are going to uphold our mandate. And there was a great deal of concern given to the you know, everybody, things that people said during our public comment session at the last meeting were very well taken. Many people wanted, you know, they wanted to make motions to oppose it and this, and then we kind of had to retrench because there's the process we're concerned about. The plan, we don't know what it is. So the responsible thing to do is to get that information. But I would be a little concerned. I think part of this letter is intended to say, look, we don't have enough information to favor it or embrace it, or to know what to do other than to get the information. And if we speak with the angry voice that could be perceived in strengthening this, I think we could be deemed in some fashion to be supporting those appropriately angry voices out there from individuals and people who have specific, you know, issues and agendas, whereas our agenda is different. Our agenda is to listen and to respond. So it's satisfying. You know, I think it would be satisfying to, you know, put that bold statement in there, but I think we very well might
Lose our seat at the table.
lose our seat at the table, whatever it may or may not be. And clearly it's not a ULERP seat at the table. But I think our voice would be taken more seriously. And as we learn more, I think we certainly can, and I think we certainly will amp it up.
Right.
Because
Actually,
there will be
right.
things that we will definitely be opposed and strenuously opposed to. And there may be others that, you know, we love. But I think initially the mess, and particularly before the first CAC meeting, is to get this on record. You know, not in a, gee, this is wonderful, you know, or in the way, you know, that yes sir, may I have another kind of approach. But to take that measured, responsible approach and say, hey, there's a real concern here. This is the biggest project that's going to affect this community, maybe really in a lifetime. So we're not going to be, you know, shunted to relegated to a secondary role because of what you guys have done behind closed doors.
And we're not going away. I mean, if we invite these players, the, you know, ESDC and Amazon to come to community board, and nobody comes, right? That's a message that we'll get. You know, that's yeah.
Don't the governor and the mayor, they should know more? Why, they are the one who went on television presenting, you know, the Amazon things, and nobody mentioned. Nobody asked, nobody called the governor office.
No, I mean, they
But he's the one who making deal with it.
But it's not a deal. It's so, well, because what we've been told is this very, very blanket agreement which doesn't really have specifics in it. And the mayor and the governor have not told us any specifics, assuming they think they know, but they may not even know.
They said, for example, there would be a school. Well, in everything, a school, in the LICIC and both in the Annabelle Basin rezoning, there were actually 2 schools. Right. And so there's some things here that don't address where we've already been in this discussion. And we really, it's very important for us to get back to where we started, where we've been, talking about resiliency, talking about the need for schools and all of this, and go beyond that. Like, we want to start from where we left off, and we don't have ULURP to defend us. But, you know, we're declaring that we are a process. And so, Sally.
I don't think that it takes away from our points about process to also make other points, like the ones Jeremy outlined.
Mm-hmm.
So even if we just acknowledge that they exist in the letter, like saying we are aware of community concerns about Amazon's business relationship with ICE, about significant displacement, and in my opinion, I think we should include the subsidies proposed. Like, literally just that sentence gives credit, like, hundreds of people came here and shared their thoughts.
Yeah.
We can acknowledge them.
Yeah, we can acknowledge. I mean, actually, that's very fair. So, with that amendment,
I mean, are we just going to vote on the amendment now, or?
no, we're really voting on the letter, including a comment that we are aware of community concerns about the other external points, which have to do with displacement.
The rules of order would say that we vote for the amendment first to be included, then we vote on the letter with the amendment or not attached.
But how can we vote on an amendment? I can't, so we're voting to support a letter. I just see it's really complicated to amend it and then vote on it without having specific wording. Because while many people came to speak, it was not the full community. We got a taste of what 100 people felt about it, but that's not everybody. You know what I mean? I don't know that we can have that one meeting determine what's in our
May I suggest then that maybe the issue is to determine by vote whether we think an amendment is appropriate, and then craft the language and circulate it among everyone to determine if it reflects the intention, you know, that the amendment is supposed to take place. And I think, you know, there we need a little bit of discussion about, you know, the strength of the wording for that, but we can circulate alternative provisions. You know, it's an email, it's a blast email to all the community boards.
Yeah, it's not. I wonder if we may have enough people who are fine with the letter.
Okay, so let's vote. If
On the
it's,
letter itself?
So
There's a vote for the amendment.
there's a vote for the amendment.
Well, can we vote for the letter with the option to be open to amendments?
Well, there's a vote right now on the table about the amendment, right?
No, that depends on the technical rule. If there was an amendment that could be made, which would have to be cited properly, and there was a second to that, the rules of order say the amendment gets voted on first.
Correct.
And then the motion, the letter itself.
So I'm going to defer to you for this, because so we have on the table.
Someone has to frame this amendment. First of all.
Rebecca, I'm sorry.
Be my guest.
Stephen, give us a second here.
Wait,
Sally's got her
there's a
hand up.
motion and a second on the letter.
But
There
the
was.
motion
Right.
hasn't been spelled out, and like, we need the word, we're,
I have some
Sally,
words.
go ahead.
Can I propose some words?
You want to propose the amendment? Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna propose the amendment. We are aware of community concerns about Amazon's business relationship with ICE, significant displacement, and the proposed tax subsidies.
Okay, and that should be
Second.
added, that sentence should be added somewhere in the letter. That's your
As an
amendment,
opening
right?
statement, some, in the beginning, right?
Well, no, it'll get added somewhere, and somewhere appropriate. May not be the first sentence. It's not the first sentence, but it will get added.
The amendment has been made, stated, and seconded.
Okay, the amendment has been made, stated, and seconded. There's a motion on the floor.
Who made the amendment and who seconded it?
Sally made the amendment. Right. Ben seconded. Okay.
We are aware of community concerns about Amazon's business relationship with ICE, which presumably should be spelled out as Immigration and
Yes.
Customs Enforcement, significant displacement, and the proposed tax subsidies.
And you could actually send
All
it.
right, Sally, if I may, take a look at the bottom of the first page of the letter. Oh, you don't have it here. I think the appropriate place to add that, and this would give us more specificity, is at the end of the end of the 1, 2, 3, at the bottom of the first page of the draft letter, before the parenthetical. So, yeah, so it would read this way. We're extraordinarily mindful of the enormity of this project, particularly when it's considered in the larger context of the recently presented Antelope Basin rezoning proposal and other current and future developments that will occur in the immediate area surrounding the Amazon site, and the significant and well-taken opposition that has been expressed by local elected officials, community-based groups, and individuals to numerous aspects of this plan, which include concerns over, and then
Your sentence.
I didn't write down what you said, but ICE, involvement with ICE, displacement.
Would you accept it at that point?
I accept.
Okay, to eliminate the need for the vote, as the maker of the first motion, I accept the amendment.
Oh, most excellent, thank you.
So now you only have to have one vote.
Okay, so the motion that's on the table is to approve the letter as it is with the amendment.
Correct.
Okay, and Pat, you seconded that?
Regina just seconded.
Regina seconded it? Okay, that's going to be a roll call vote.
Much easier.
So, any discussion?
Any further discussion?
Any further discussion? Somebody want to make a motion to call the question? All in favor of calling the question? Okay.
Serena Andrews.
Yes.
Carisha Baton. Yes. Sandra Begishka. Yes. Essie Gassaro.
Yes.
Claudia Chan. Yes. Osmond Chowdhury. Yes. Stephen Cooper.
Yes.
Lisa Della. Sally Frank.
Yes.
William Garrett.
Yes.
Kenny Greenberg.
Yes.
Ben Gutman.
Yes.
Mohammed Jewel is absent. Oh, sorry, Mohammed Jewel, I apologize. What's your vote, Mohammed Jewel? Yes. Sorry, I can't see you. Denise Kean Smith? Nancy Cleaver?
Respectfully, no.
Jordan Levine?
Abstain.
Sheila Lewandowski? Dominic Lepolis?
Yes.
Elizabeth McKenna? She's not here?
No, I'm here, hold on. I would like to make more amendments, so, no.
Ty McShane?
Yes.
Tom Matusas?
Yes.
Dorothy Moorhead?
Yes.
Patrick Murray? Yes. Patrick O'Brien?
Yes.
Clara Orza?
Yes.
Stephen Raga?
Yes.
Jeremy Rosenberg?
Respectfully, no.
Regina Shanley. Michael Sun. Lauren Springer.
Yes.
Carol Torano.
Yes.
Mary Torres.
Abstaining.
Carolina Tosi.
Yes.
Rebecca Trent.
Yeah.
Anthony Trudella.
Yes.
Maria Magdalena Molina.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Lisa?
Yes.
That will go to all of the concerned parties, governor, mayor, the agencies,
The elected, yeah, the elected.
and the press, correct?
No.
Why not the press? Denise, why not release it to the press?
It will get to the press anyway.
Right, yeah.
We might as well be in control of our own narrative.
That's what I'm saying. Why don't we send it?
I'm saying, I thought his question was, do we CC the press? I don't know what,
I mean, we have our typical, you know, kind of elected officials list that we send to.
Well, I think maybe with the CC, you know, the distribution list for CCs will remain the same, but we can use a press release and forward, you know, issue a press release and attach the letter.
Yep.
With
Well, that's a whole other thing.
All right, well, we're just voting for this for
We're just
now.
voting on a letter right now, y'all.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, we all discussed it. I would just prefer a more pungent letter that address things more clearly and in a less wishy-washy way what the community thinks. But we've already discussed it and it's just.
do you want to make a motion?
Well, we already voted on it, so.
Can I change my sub-C?
What did you say again? What did you say?
It's over.
Rebecca, what did you say?
This might be pointless, and I apologize. But would it be possible, and again, pointless, but would it be possible for us to write a separate letter that doesn't really necessarily have any. My concern is that this is a slippery slope. We're setting like this precedent where all these things happen behind closed doors, and I feel like the specific electeds, the people that we put into office that have made these horrible decisions, need perhaps a separate letter of record saying how the community board feels about that specific part of the deal making. Because for me, I don't know, like I find it incredibly infuriating that we are given a mandate and then it's taken away from us when the dogs get too big for us to corral, or whatever the terminology or whatever the thought process is. But I feel like something separate and certainly more pungent, as she said, should go to those elected officials that I believe need to be held accountable for this garbage situation we find ourselves in.
I'm in the pungent camp.
I like pungent. A stinky cheek.
Just a press release? Are we allowed to make a statement, you know, that's not a letter to an agency, but is a press release to that?
Or something, yeah. Something official that has teeth.
I would just say that we are all individually welcome to write letters, right? I mean, we all do that. We all
Sort
sign
of,
it.
but we're also community board members, so our ability to do that is a little bit different, right?
Yeah, well, you wouldn't do it as Rebecca Trent, Community Board to Land Use
Wouldn't
Chair.
I though?
No, you might. I don't know. She's
But that's why I think something should come from all of us, because and I understand that there are political ramifications for a handful of us in the room for that kind of thing, but I still think, as a matter of record, it needs to be done.
Well, you know, the only other thing to say is this is just in response to an MOU.
Oh, completely
Right,
agree.
there'll
I'm
be
saying
plenty
this
of
is a separate thing.
substantial reasons to go on record with outrage. I mean, I can predict that that will be so. I just, you know, at this point in time, I can be outraged about conjecture and things I've heard and non-disclosure agreements and things like that, but,
But I do think there, Liz, I know you.
No, go.
But I just think that we're not taking this as seriously as
The board just voted unanimously on the letter. Yeah, Steve.
May I suggest that the letter that's being sent out, with the exception of the amendments, was a letter that was banged around, I don't know, 10 or 15 people at least, for several weeks. And if somebody wishes to write a letter like you're referring to, you should try to draft it, and we could send it around to each other on email.
Yeah.
I assume the board would do that for you.
Of course.
And we could try to see whether we could get support for it, because
Okay, I mean, my guess is that probably it needs to come from one of the lawyers in this room and not a small business owner who's just, you know what I mean? Like, give me a break. We're not gonna, like, comparatively speaking, I can't draft the same kind of letter that you can, Stephen. That's ridiculous.
I accept that.
Nancy can.
I agree. I agree.
I don't know what to tell you. It's law
Rebecca,
degree. He
Rebecca.
knows the fancy words.
Rebecca, if you want to put something together and send it to me, I will lawyerize it. And I'm sure Pat would be willing to work with me also.
All right, well, I'll grab the pungent ladies and we'll work on it together.
But seriously, it's something that you really have to think about. I don't think the community board's willing to take any position on things we don't know. We do know we were kept out of the process. We do know it was behind closed doors.
That's the position. That's it.
So
I'm not
if you keep
talking
your
about
letter that
anything
way,
specific.
you know, we'll look at it.
All right.
I'd be willing
Pat,
to
do you have
help
an update on city services?
No, other than we're having a meeting next week,
Okay.
next Wednesday.
I'm sorry, Lisa, I have one more question. Can we just get a raise of hands of who is on, I know you mentioned that there are many people on the community board that are serving on the CAC. Can we know who that is? Is that?
Me, Lisa, Sheila, and Kenny.
Okay. Great, thank you.
I know. Dorothy, do you have an update? Dorothy Moorhead, head of our environmental committee.
Actually, this fits into the discussion that we were just having. We were contacted by a representative from the Waterfront Alliance, which has been working on guidelines for the water's edge, and they're called WEDGE, W-E-D-G guidelines. And Sarah Dougherty of the Waterfront Alliance is going to come to our environmental committee to give us more information about those guidelines, and hopefully she will also come to a full board meeting, and we can see if we can get those implemented as part of the overall plan for the rest of Long Island City, but especially for the Amazon site. There are really good suggestions. You can look it up online, or maybe what we can do is send out the link, and you can take a look at it, and she'll be prepared to answer questions. But it's a very important factor because it's a very vulnerable site. And, we just don't want anybody to be in danger. We've seen huge, Sandy was an enormous storm, and it really shut down a lot of the waterfront, and we don't want to see that happen again if there's anything we can do to prevent it. Thank you.
Any questions, Dorothy?
Any question? No, thank you.
Moiche is not here tonight for the Health and Human Services update. Our last one is Steve Cooper.
Yeah, we're scheduling a meeting for the 15th for the Arts and Culture Committee. The only other thing I can tell you is that interesting, Community Board 2 helped secure a site for the Long Island City artists over at the Plaxall property, which is going to be part of this Amazon takeover. And I would like you to know and be proud of the fact that this group has just recently done a Santa Claus giveaway, has made their space available for PTA, for teachers groups, and for all kinds of things other than just simply as a gallery space. And you should be proud of it and visit it when you have a chance.
So I'm concerned about the loss of that space.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything?
I can tell you that the Plaxall people have indicated to Leica that they will do that they've spoken to Amazon, that they've encouraged Amazon to continue giving us space, giving Leica space. The original proposal that Plaxall made, I believe, was for 40,000 square feet of art space, culture space and stuff. They're hoping Amazon will be part of that, will go along with that, But again, nobody knows what Amazon will do, and Amazon has not met directly with our organization, or to my knowledge, any other organization, arts in the area yet.
So, sorry, I know that it's not, but to follow up on that, so if you go back and you talk to the space, the venue folks, as well as Plaxall, you will confirm that Plaxall is on committee to providing them with that space, if this deal doesn't go through and their deal does?
Say that again. Plaxall has stated two things. One is, okay. Fine.
Okay, we're going to move into the public comment section of the meeting. So I'm going to call the first list of names. Please be prepared. Please stand up here if you can, possibly. The first up is Harry Mitzmacher, Jay Koo, Oriana Webb, Hayes Peter Morrow, Arthur Tarley, William Craigler, Laura Aguanaga, Rosemary Fraioli, Anatole Ashraf, James Mangaluzzo, Austin Kim, Lauren, looks like Bene, and Gloria Maloney. Come up, Harry. You have 2 minutes. Sorry, I forgot.
A healthy new year to everybody. I live in the Big Six Tower since day one. What I want to know is New York City is losing their landmarks. Because I remember, let's put it this way, when President Roosevelt dedicated, like to me, it's the Rock of Gibraltar, the soul of New York, Triborough Bridge. Where do you come off to hand it to a politician? He gets free benefits? You want to honor a politician? Put a plaque by his chair where he works. They honor him. They do a good job. That's it. I'm going down Queens Boulevard and say this way to the RFK Bridge. To me, there's no such thing. How dare you get handed over to the politician? Catch fish, there's no such thing. It belongs to the community. Queensboro Bridge or 59th Street. Hugh Carey Tunnel, where does it go from Hugh to Carey? It goes from the Battery Park to Brooklyn. That's what it says. We must restore it, and I'm still going to fight for it. How dare you give it to politicians? We have community landmarks. It's going to stay community landmarks, not politicians' landmarks. That's like their fringe benefits. How dare you do a thing like that? Now, I want to fight, and how do we get it to restore it to its original name? That's what I want to know, and I want to fight tooth and nail for that. How dare you do that thing, like take away from New York City?
Jay Koo? Jay Koo?
Let's do it. Pleasure. Start now. What's the clock? Sorry. So there was a recent article on Queens.com quoting a community member who said we cannot defeat Amazon and that anti-gentrification activists are considered extreme. As an organizer for Queens Neighborhoods United, I want to share what is extreme to us. It is extreme that a corporate welfare package of $3 billion was created behind closed doors. It is extreme that Amazon working conditions are so bad, over 600 ambulance calls were made in the past 3 years to Amazon warehouses, according to Vice. It is extreme that so many Amazon tech jobs are part-time, that Seattle organizers that we spoke to call Amazon the king of 1099. It is extreme that Amazon refused to break its working relationship with ICE. Once considered the most powerful man in New York, Robert Moses planned to build a mega expressway through Greenwich Village. He claimed that this will promote job opportunities and improve commerce. But organizers like Jane Jacobs refused to concede or negotiate, and through that persistent determination, they were victorious. The very idea of community boards were birthed out of movements like Jane Jacobs' struggle to make sure that there never be a single man, whether Robert Moses or Jeff Bezos, determined the future of our communities. Just 1 year ago, Community Board 4 in Jackson Heights stood in solidarity with Queens Neighborhood United to vote down a rezoning against a high-rise luxury development. Community Board members continue to organize alongside with Queens Neighborhood United, joining in protest and speaking out over 1 year, until finally developers were forced out to withdrew their plan in August 2018, and that luxury development was never built. Years from now, there will be 2 ways that Community Board 2 can be remembered. Will you be remembered for kowtowing in defeat to one of the most diabolical corporations in America, or would you be remembered as the community that pushed back and defeated Amazon? CB2, say no to HQ2 by any means necessary. And also, I see some of the Cuomo's reps. Some of Cuomo's reps are in the room. I would like them to hear them speak for Cuomo as well.
Oriana Webb.
Good evening. My name is Oriana Webb. I'm a longtime Sunnyside resident, a member of the Sunnyside Woodside Action Group, and a social worker. Before I get to my comments, I want to point out the irony in this evening where we start out talking about what makes Sunnyside great, the fire response, and the way the community came together so quickly, because the one thing I know about Amazon is that when that comes, that Sunnyside is gone. It's gone. That is the one thing I know. So, the city and state are touting the benefits of high-paying jobs, and the state is busy trying to hire someone as a community liaison to push that message on our communities. Some New Yorkers are swayed by this idea, despite the fact that there's no guarantee that most of those jobs will go to current New Yorkers. Folks may also be swayed by the idea that these high-paying tech jobs would improve the fortunes of workers in the non-tech service industries. However, recent research that I linked to when I emailed this to you guys indicates that this effect is not present in cities where the housing market is tight, because although there are more service jobs that may be created, the cost of living increases offset that advantage. Another argument is made that New York City has to join the flow of the tech economy, adapt or die. But Amazon, this is the worst of the worst among the tech companies. We all know about the dehumanizing labor practices in their fulfillment centers, characterized by job insecurity, lack of safety, and union busting. Amazon, as we've said tonight, also affiliates with ICE, a fact that Bill de Blasio bizarrely claimed to just have learned a couple of weeks ago, months after the rest of us knew it. Furthermore, Amazon is making itself indispensable to our federal government, winning legislation recently to give it majority control over government procurement of commercial goods, and working to ever expand its cloud computing contract with the feds. Meanwhile, the amount of money Amazon spent on lobbying nearly quadrupled between the years 2013 and 2017. They lobbied on, among other topics, drones, data privacy, the post office, state sales taxes, international trade. Jeff Bezos wanted to name Amazon relentless. They're relentless. They're not going to be good neighbors. You're getting played.
Case Q tomorrow. You're up next.
My understanding is that tonight we're being joined by representatives from Governor Cuomo's office, from city agencies, and also from Amazon. I'm not sure if that's all true. But if indeed you all are here, my comment is directed primarily to you. I'm a professor at CUNY, and about 1 month ago I joined students, activists from CUNY in a protest at LaGuardia Community College against this proposal. Following that protest, a reporter from Europe asked me why I was there, shutting down the Board of Trustees meeting along a cadre of 20-something students. I responded that at my CUNY campus, which by the way is plagued by crumbling infrastructure, we have set up an ad hoc food pantry for low-income students who on some days require emergency nutritional supplementation as they can't always afford to buy food. Despite the economic plight of some CUNY students, as you all know, CUNY Board of Trustees Chair Bill Thompson publicly endorsed the Amazon proposal. This is a proposal forwarded by our governor and mayor that offers up to $3 billion in public monies as a de facto corporate welfare payout to your boss, Mr. Bezos, who according to Forbes magazine has a net worth of roughly $120 billion as of last month. It is a proposal in response to Mr. Bezos' mystical promise of 25,000 jobs paying an average of 6 figures, which are supposedly going to be earmarked for many CUNY students and graduates. This is money that could obviously be better used to feed hungry students, shore up infrastructure in the university. In this context, there is nothing you can tell me tonight that could possibly outweigh such a gross political injustice perpetrated by so-called leaders elected by us to protect our collective interests, not those of the world's richest man. Thank you.
You're not next. Arthur Tarley. You're after Arthur Bell.
Hi, my name's Arthur. I've lived in Western Queens my whole life. I grew up in Jackson Heights, and now I live in Sunnyside. I only got 2 minutes. I'm here to speak against Amazon coming to New York City in any form. We cannot accept the displacement of tenants from rising rents. Rents went up overnight in Long Island City and surrounding areas right after the Amazon announcement. We can't accept the estimated 800 plus people that will be made homeless from this agreement alone. We cannot accept the well-documented poor labor practices that Amazon has perpetrated. We cannot accept the way Amazon has treated Seattle and threatened to leave when the Seattle City Council offered a small levy of a tax to pay for affordable housing in Seattle. And we cannot accept that Amazon is the technological backbone for ICE and Border Patrol as they imprison, deport, kill, and torture immigrants in our city and our country. And I'd like to add that the reason none of us know much about the Amazon proposal and can't answer questions is because the city signed non-disclosure agreements and the state signed non-disclosure agreements with Amazon, and that's why we won't find out much more about the process as we go along. And I believe that the Community Advisory Committee is nothing but a front so that Governor Cuomo, de Blasio, and Amazon can say that there was community input when there truly wasn't, because the committee has been said to be powerless. You can read it in the New York Times. It is powerless, and we will not have a say even if we have a seat at a powerless table. We should not give Governor Cuomo and Amazon a shroud on which to cover us by joining this Community Advisory Committee. Thanks.
Bill,
All right, Happy New Year, everyone. Bill Craigley here. I'll try to be quick. Reopening of Engine 261. Let's stop wasting our talk and open it up. It should never have been closed. We have always allocated money there. It's nothing but lip service. Now we're using Amazon as the reason to open it. Should have been opened up. Should never have been closed. Should be opened up. Speaking of Amazon, I spoke about this once before at this meeting about 2 years ago when I was running for borough president. I said back then, Amazon belongs in Southeast Queens at the old Elmhurst Dairy Plant. 15 available acres with all the mass transit you could use, and in an area that the city has forgotten the last 60 years that I know. I think they would like it over there. Give those people an opportunity to bring themselves up, empower themselves, get a quality of life there. Not a bad place. There's your solution right there. Put it in Southeast Queens. We'll still get the benefit because they want to live in Long Island City. They take the Jamaica Station right there to Long Island City. Good. They got what they want. They can look at the East River. Amazon, okay. And finally, I brought this up on previous meetings too and got some protest from it. But I'm going to repeat it now and I'm going to make it formal. The 8 people that voted for these bike lanes in Sunnyside last June, I formally request that they resign from the board. I stated my reasons beforehand and all that stuff. And you know what? If the 27 people don't want to resign based on the in protest of what not recognizing and respecting your decision, you can't even make a speed bump now. Where's it going with you, for God's sakes? You have no power whatsoever anymore. You got to make a change. Either we get rid of the 8 that told this line that devastated this community, that organized groups here to protest against it. I'm saying what's happening here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not making this up. Thank you.
Laura Aguinaga. Hope I said that right, Laura.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Laura Aguinaga, and I will be here reading a statement on behalf of Brent O'Leary. As a longtime Long Island City resident and community organizer, I have always stood up for the interests of this neighborhood and its most vulnerable people. That is why when this Amazon deal was struck, behind closed doors and non-disclosure agreements, I knew it would have a tremendous impact on the future and character of Long Island City and Western Queens for generations to come. In the new year, I have a renewed focus to join renters, commercial leaseholders, mass transit riders, and advocacy groups in warning that Amazon's landing will lead to a massive displacement, homelessness, and increased costs of living of our neighborhood, as it did in Seattle. It will also put a dangerous stress on our aging infrastructure and provide billions of dollars in tax subsidies to the world's richest company at a time when tax revenue in our city and state is sorely needed. That money can and should instead be allocated in our city and state budgets to fund schools, universal health care, NYCHA repairs, public transportation, job training, and to help provide student debt relief. For all these reasons and more, I am calling on the following: an immediate moratorium on the Amazon deal, and a freeze on all city and state activity that is accelerating the development of Amazon HQ2. A full and public release of all details currently hiding behind non-disclosure agreements between the New York City Economic Development Corporation, Empire State Development, and Amazon. And a full and public release of all requests for proposals or RFPs that have been submitted to the city over the past 2 years for the public and private lots that are involved in the Amazon deal. I want this so that we, the people, can determine which plan is best for our community and what's best of our public land. I do not join members of this community who believe this is a done deal and not worth fighting against. Keeping the future of Queens affordable and welcoming only good companies whose employees won't protest them around the world is always worth fighting for. And I hope you join me in this fight. A copy of Brent O'Leary's full statement is available here for community board members, tonight's guests, and members of the media. If there's not enough available, please provide me your information. We'll email you a copy tonight. Good night. Thank you.
Rosemary Fraioli.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm a neighboring resident of CB2 on the Astoria waterfront. I'm actively involved in the community, and that includes Long Island City and Sunnyside. I'm full-heartedly against the development of Amazon Headquarter 2 in Long Island City. This deal was made secretly and was not under the guidance of the community. I ask the board to reject the deal outright with no concessions and no negotiations. This deal is the epitome of corporate welfare. Amazon does not need the funds and has no right to ground lease and develop on our public land. What our community needs is a comprehensive plan that serves the interests of the existing community and provides a stable blueprint towards long-term growth. Amazon's Headquarter 2 would increase the already existent affordability issue for renters, small businesses, and NYCHA tenants. It would contribute to the continued overburdening of our transit system. I've had my job threatened because of lateness on the 7 train, and I can only imagine who else has had similar. There are many reasons to list, but I leave you this: no Amazon, no concessions, and no negotiations. Thank you.
Anatole Ashraf. I just would like to remind people you can also send an email to CB2 stating your position.
Thanks for getting my last name right, Denise. So I've been in the neighborhood for 16 years. I rent here, and I'm very passionate about the neighborhood. I've helped add to the neighborhood. Last year, my participatory budget committee helped get bus countdown clocks installed right down the block. Thank you, Kenny. So something I worked on helped the community, and it's going to be used for many people for years to come. So my point is, I rent here, and I matter. And I'm not the only one who rents here, and I'm not the only one who matters. Many of our small businesses, services, restaurants, like Sola Luna earlier was here, and people who make up our wonderful community rent here, and we all matter. So if you rent, you must be absolutely worried about your rent skyrocketing. I work in tech. I work at a software company, and I am afraid of my rent going up. I know people at Amazon who used to work at Amazon, and they don't make enough money now. And if you rent, and if you are a voter, you must absolutely remember this feeling, this sense of insecurity when people start running for city council, public advocate, and DA in the next elections. And our leaders have sold us renters out to Amazon with this deal. We need to fight back. We need all of CB2 to make a statement. I missed the boat on that, on that statement. And it would be great to get a response from our dear governors, representatives in the room. Thank you.
James Mangaluzzo.
Okay, hello. I'm here for 2 purposes. I'm going to speak about the first one, that being the Queens Distance Runners having a Queens Marathon. It's coming up on April 21st in Flushing Meadows Park. It'll be the 4th annual version, and it's the official New York State Championship Marathon of 2019. So if you're interested, there are flyers in the back on that rear table. You can talk to me afterward. I can give you more details, and I can give you cards to contact the founders of the group, who are all Queens residents, 2 of which were raised in Queens, and the other raised in New York City, but not Queens. The other thing I want to speak about is not connected to Queens Distance Runners. I'm going to speak as myself, as James, as a citizen of Queens. I'm someone who went to school, high school in this community board area. I got my first 2 jobs in this community board area, and I'm very concerned that people like me who were born and raised, or people who immigrated to this area, are going to be priced out by the Amazon deal. So there's a lot of aspects of it that I think are very troubling. And I think if you watch the hearing, the economic development hearing that the city council had, you can see that Amazon is not trustworthy. They're not bargaining in good faith. They're not speaking in good faith. And I suggest that all of you watch that, and you can see exactly what you're dealing with. There's not going to be any negotiation. It's just what they want. So some of the things that I want to touch on are rent. Rent going up. Obviously, people who are from here aren't going to be able to afford property or rent here, as many people have already stated. We're going to push people further to the east, to places like Corona and Jackson Heights, where the infrastructure can't even handle the current population, whether it be the 7 train or the sewer system. And Amazon's labor practices are horrendous. They're they're not paying people appropriately based on New York State laws with Whole Foods, right? They're paying people minimum wage only for 4 hours, where they should be mandated, I believe they are mandated by law to pay them for 8 hours. So these are just some of the things. I wish I had more time to speak.
You can come back next month, Austin. Hi, Austin, Kim?
Hello, my name is Austin Kim, and I've lived in Sunnyside for the past 2 years. In that time, I've come to know this neighborhood as a place where families and small businesses thrive, and where there exists a real sense of community spirit. You know, when that horrible fire happened a few weeks ago, I saw how everyone here rose to the occasion to help lead the relief effort for our friends and neighbors. It's that kind of solidarity that makes Sunnyside so special, and that is why I'm here to ask the community board to reject the Amazon HQ2 proposal with no concessions and no negotiations, because I believe that allowing Amazon to build its headquarters in Queens will profoundly undermine our community. We've seen the consequences of Amazon's buildup in Seattle already: soaring rents, neglected infrastructure, the most vulnerable of our community pushed to the periphery, small businesses forced to close because of Amazon's predatory market practices. The negative impacts go on, and we cannot allow this to happen here. If Amazon is able to sell next door, instead, we must continue to focus on what makes Sunnyside such a wonderful place to live, and that means supporting those who live and work here, and not a giant corporation whose only goals are profits and endless expansion. Once again, I strongly urge the board to say no to Amazon. Thank you.
Lauren Burke.
Hi, everyone. So really what I'd like to say is that we don't need more details about this deal. We know everything that we need to know, which is that Amazon is fundamentally an exploitative and predatory corporation. There's absolutely no version of this deal that works for our communities. And honestly, any talk about community involvement in this decision is a complete farce. And frankly, I'm disappointed to see that CB2 doesn't see through that. We still have a chance to stop this deal, but it's not through pandering to get a seat at a table that doesn't exist. I know that this community is more than capable of standing together to protect each other, and I know that this board can be an extraordinary advocate against Amazon, alongside organizations that are already doing this work, like Queens Neighborhoods United, DESI's Rising Up and Moving, the Democratic Socialists of America, COV, Hate Free Zone, and so many more. So I'd like to end by reiterating what a lot of people have said already, which is that we do not want we don't want a negotiation, we do not want this deal. Thank you.
Are you aware of any
And then we'll have Antonios Benedettos, Adam Wilkes, George Labares, Ed Bonfanti, Julia Foreman, Emnila Demovivic, Marnie Halassa, Dino Panagoulis, Sultan Maroof, Tom Pino, Scott Hutchins, Enrique Pena.
Hi, I'm Gloria Maloney, and I'm not part of this community board. I'm part of Community Board 1. I live in Dutch Kills section of Long Island City. And you say, why are you here? Well, I'm very close to where Amazon is planning to move. I'm hop, skip, and a jump away. Now, I feel really bad. I don't want to be redundant, but I feel really bad for Community Board 2. And I'm embarrassed for them that they have to stand here and say that they haven't really gotten any information that Amazon is coming. Because I was under the impression Amazon was going to be presented here tonight by someone from the EDC. And I'm sure that's probably why a lot of other people were here. But anyway, what I want to just say is that even though people know a lot more about Amazon than I do, I agree with everything that they've said. I wish the community board luck dealing with them. I've dealt with the city government for 40 years now as part of the Dutch Kills Civic Association, and I know what the city and the state want to do, they're going to do. But that doesn't mean you need to roll over and play dead. And as far as getting a seat at the table, that meal is done, the dishes are cleared off, and they're washed already. But keep fighting. It's not over till the fat lady sings. Just keep fighting and do it's not a matter of what Amazon can do, what you can do for Amazon, but let's let it be what Amazon can do for us at this point. Thank you.
Antonios Benedettos? Sorry.
As president of the Dutch Kills Civic Association, I was originally recruited by the New York State EDC to speak in favor of the Amazon deal tonight. After consultation with our board and membership, I find I can no longer do so. The Dutch Kills Civic Association opposes the Amazon deal. We do so in part because of the following reasons. First, the Amazon deal is based on a misallocation of taxpayer money. When local schools like PS 112 have lead contaminated drinking water, when the residents of Queensbridge lack heat and endure chronic facility infrastructure failures, and when our residents have to wait hours facing chronic delayed and overcrowded trains, the allocation of billions of dollars to a successful private business is at best preposterous and at worst inherently corrupt. The so-called Amazon effect of driving up rents and housing prices in the neighborhood is already being felt. As those costs increase, long-term residents and businesses will be driven out. The businesses will be replaced by more empty storefronts and corporate chains. Local business languishes in the high rent market Amazon will drive. While grocery prices go up and our restaurants close and apartment dwelling neighbors are driven out by higher rents, the property owners will face higher taxes. Meanwhile, Amazon lies in a safe harbor of tax incentive free, of property tax increases and market rent worries. This inherent corporate welfare and economic inequality is unacceptable. Due to these concerns and others not addressed due to time constraints, the Dutch Kills Civic Association implores all parties involved to reject the Amazon deal until these underlying community issues are resolved in a written binding contract between the people and Amazon.
Okay, if you want. Adam Wilkes?
Hi, everyone. My name is Adam Wilkes. I'm a resident of Elmhurst next door. Thank you so much for letting me speak. The Amazon robbery of taxpayer dollars will define the de Blasio legacy. He's completely failed to live up to his campaign promise. He circumvented the city council. He gave in to Cuomo. Amazon transformed Seattle, now they're going to transform New York. Speculators will go wild, normal people will be priced out, and this will be just one city for big money. De Blasio's message to us is get lost. De Blasio and Cuomo also have the ambiguities of law and bureaucracy on their side. The only way to win this Amazon fight at this point, or to even get any kind of get anything going, is in the realm of the publicity war, the public pressure. That's the thing that can work. If you want to express leverage as a community board, write a strongly worded letter and show it to media. Because there's already people running ads on Facebook, Amazon, saying that there was this poll, and no matter what the questions were, we don't even know how many people were polled or what the questions were like, Queen supports it. But we know from the people in this room, from the events of this meeting and the last one, that that's obviously not the case. So you have to get that out there to win this fight. I have a lot of, I'm new to the community board format here in the process. It does seem to me that the fine ladies up here might be setting you up to drown in a sea of process. That's the frontier where de Blasio and Cuomo will win this. Ambiguity, law, process. At this point, you have to fight it in the PR realm. Get the word out there. Thank you.
George Labaris.
Hi, good evening. So Amazon wants to build HQ2 here, and coincidentally, I happened to come across this article on Facebook through one of the groups, and it talks about HQ1 in Seattle, what actually happened there, and just for you people on the community board, you're us, so this is going to affect you. You're going to be feeling this too. So it says the Seattleization. American cities fear what's happening here. You're paying a premium to live here. The cost of living has risen faster in Seattle than any other American city. It later goes on, it describes that New York could possibly become Seattle on steroids. The cost of living index in Seattle in 2012 was 115.2. It is now 153.6. It's, according to the article, it's ranked number 1 here. And the thing is, he also describes that it's not just housing, it's everything they're paying more for in Seattle. He goes, we rank toward the top for the price of nearly every good and service in the index. From cooking oil to car repairs to a trip to the dentist to yoga classes, you're paying a premium to live here. The thing about Amazon is it's been reported that they were given $3 billion in tax incentives and breaks, I guess. Giving them that is like opening the door to your apartment to a burglar, giving him a loaded gun and letting him kill you. You want to live? Say no to Amazon.
Ed Bonfanti. Ed Bonfanti.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Ed Bonfanti, a 10-year resident of Queens. When I was listening to the community board meeting, there seems to be a lot of questions about the deal. A lot of board members seem to be in the dark. So I'm actually in a really fortunate position that I will be able to clear up a lot of that darkness that surrounds this deal. Number one, Amazon, Governor Cuomo, Mayor de Blasio do not care about Community Board 2 at all. Any of you, not one person sitting at this table, not any single community board member, not any single person that's in that room. If they cared about you, you would have been involved in the process. The fact that you weren't involved in the process is really, really clear to me, and I think to a lot of us here, that they don't care at all. I also further think that they're not going to care about a memorandum that's very kind of weak, doesn't mention the most important issue for Queens residents, which is displacement. All of the hundreds, thousands of Queens residents that are going to be homeless, which is exactly what happened in Seattle because of this deal. I didn't even hear that in the memorandum. It might have been like in paragraph 25. So if the Amazon people don't care about the community board at all, then really the main purpose of the community board is for you to represent the community. And I haven't heard any pro-Amazon voices here. Maybe that one person that said it should move to Southeast Queens? No, terrible idea. So I really implore the community board to follow what the community is saying, which seems to be really, really, really against the Amazon deal. And please, please represent us. Thank you.
Julia Foreman.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Julia Foreman. I don't want to go into the displacement or the crumbling infrastructure because I think that's been addressed by people a lot more eloquent on those topics than I. What I would like to point out is, and this was brought up earlier by the community board, Amazon is promising that they're going to bring jobs to us, the people of the community. I implore everyone to see through that lie. That is 100% a lie. I look to my left, to my right, I see leadership that's women. I only see women up here with me, and I look out at the community board and I see such a diverse group of neighbors and community members, and even looking past the actual membership, everyone here is so diverse. But then you look at Amazon's makeup, and I have actual numbers here from this past October, so only a few months ago. 78% of the senior leadership roles of Amazon are men. That's less than a quarter representation of women on their high boards. In terms of people who report directly to Bezos, like directly, those people can call his extension and he might actually pick up. There is, I believe, 23 or 20 some odd people, and only two are women who are allowed to have that reach to Jeff Bezos. This is not someone who's looking to our very diverse community, our very varied community with people with different educational and all sorts of backgrounds. I wish I had the statistics on things past gender. I wasn't able to find them. But Jeff Bezos doesn't care about diversity in his employees. Jeff Bezos does not care about representing Queens in his staff. He cares about profits. He cares about pinching every penny so that people have to move out of their homes. He cares about pinching pennies so that people can't get their benefits. So I implore everyone, ignore his lies and oppose this strongly. Thank you.
Amela Domovic, is that correct? Amela Domovic? No? Marnie Halasa? Okay. Dino Pangagoulis?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dino Panagoulias, and I live in the Dutch Kills area of Long Island City. And I'm a little confused at the statements that I heard by board members at this meeting. And the reason that I find it confusing, and the most confusing, is the statement that no site selections or plans have been made, that this is only a proposal. And I say this because in the MOU, we have specific details. We have information that 44-36 Vernon Boulevard is going to be one of the sites. It says that it is to be vacated on January 1st, 2022. It even has verbiage for a helipad that is specific enough to state that it restricts landings to more than 120 per year. I'm sure that people have read about it or have seen it on the news. We also know that they're going to be getting approximately $3 billion. What I find more frustrating is that CB2 seems to be concerned about this product, but does not give the formal resistance that I have heard every single person coming up here to speak about. That is frustrating. Google, on December 17, 2018, announced that they will be making a $1 billion investment into New York City. How much money did they get? They didn't get anything. They just know that New York City is the best place to be, and that's where they belong. And that's what should be in your letter to everyone and to every single politician. With that knowledge, you shouldn't have a seat at the table. You should be at the head of the table. Thank you.
Sultan Maruf. Then we have Tom Pano, Scott Hutchins, and Enrique Pena.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. I oppose Amazon headquarters in our community because number one is 25,000 new employee will yield almost 75,000 or more new resident in Queens. It will replace our resident due to higher rent, higher housing prices, competition for a job. Number three is local resident voting power will shift to somewhere else. And maybe we should give them option. Let's say like a 99% or 100% residents, employee should be New York City resident who's been living here for last 5 years. And that's only option I can give them. But other than that, we should invest that $3 billion for housing and other issue. Thank you.
Tom Pano. Is Tom Pano still here? I know I saw him earlier. No. Scott Hutchins.
He left.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
He had curfew.
Okay. Enrique Pena.
All right. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Enrique Pena. I'm a student activist. I want to start with this quote from the Peruvian poet Cesar Vallejo: "To know more is to be more free." I consider both to be human rights, freedom and education, and I'm here today to speak about education because I feel it should always be a priority. And I'll ask a few questions that haven't been answered in this meeting. I'm here as a public school graduate to ask, how do we dare to not say anything about the governor and mayor giving a $3 billion tax break to Amazon when New York has the most segregated school system in the country and affecting mostly people of color and immigrants, which are the heart of Queens? I'm here as a CUNY student to ask, how do we dare to even discuss about supporting a huge tax break when CUNY is severely underfunded, with crumbling campuses and professors living with poverty wages? How do we send a letter that's practically a peace treaty when the progressive governor that has given those billions of dollars to Amazon has just refused to sign the MOE bill that would have given a fair funding to public colleges because he says that there's not enough money? I'm here because, just like many working class New Yorkers, I don't qualify for financial aid and have to work every semester to pay for college, though there's now every semester a tuition hike going on, and I'm probably sure that I won't be able to study next semester. How do we call ourselves progressives if we choose to ignore that the city and state is giving that huge tax break to the wealthiest men on earth and not helping working class New Yorkers? The go to CUNY is a chance of upward mobility and the American dream we all try to reach in this beautiful community of immigrants. Support CUNY, not Amazon. Thank you.
And our final list of speakers will be Manny Gomez, Patricia Dorfman, Michael Bienvenida, Tom Gresh, David, looks like Yang, and Nikki Pagulayan. Manny Gomez.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. First of all, I just want to give credit to all the members of the Community Board too. I definitely know that the hard work and the knowledge and dedication that you give to this community, and that's why you're here. So I know, yeah, there might be something wrong with the system, but I know that everyone that is here tonight and every time that they say Community Board 2 are here because you want to care about it and that you want to be here about it. But The only way that we're going to be able to keep on moving forward and then for it to hear us is to keep on saying and speaking up about what is it that we want or what is not the right thing to, or what is the right thing to do. So all board members, I give you my high five because you guys do an incredible job. Thank you for being so committed to our community. And as I said, I don't like to hear when people say, oh, it's a done deal, you know. That's not in my mind, though. Please, anyone that has that mentality, just keep on saying, no, we have a saying and we have a hope that this is not going to happen. I want to go, and now what I'm going to start saying is to our officials, you know, it seems like sometimes they don't want to hear us, and that's a concern, you know. Here in the community, I want to talk more about the concerns that we have with the protected bike lanes that were installed this past year. Again, it seems like they don't want to hear us. I'm here because I'm concerned about the disabled people that having a hard time with the protected bike lanes. I'm here because of the small business owners, the small moms and pop stores that are getting their businesses going down. I'm here because of all the kids from PS 11 and PS 150 and a new school that is going to be, you know, in the future, it's going to come into the community. I'm here for all the residents that are concerned about what's happening. 13 cyclists have been injured once the protected bike lanes have been installed. So there's something wrong about it. Let's change that. Thank you.
Patricia Dorfman.
I want you all to read the newspaper, Small Town Confidential. We don't play. I am founder of Sunnyside Artists and executive director of Queen Streets for All. We have a new year coming, and we want changes in our streets. We want our streets restored. Queen Streets for All represents now 10,000, 5,000 residents, every church, every school, except for 150. They got a grant. In light of possible danger, injury, or death, we asked the community board formally last time, now in print twice, to do a test, public invited, press invited, to find out if the buckets can get up to the top floors on Skillman and 43rd Avenue. We have seen they cannot. Chief Duff said we are in danger, lives will be lost, and access is inhibited. Lastly, we want a tally of every response time from the firehouse on 51st Street made available, where we compare April, May, June response times to those after the DOT installation, September, October, December. Now, we're all worked up about Amazon now, but we know when someone dies or really gets injured in the streets, we're all going to rush over and say, oh, we didn't know. Well, we're telling them, and we want community board to back us up and ask for this. I know that they have. Thank you.
Michael Bienvenida.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Marco Bienvenida, and I'm a proud member of the Heat and Frost Insulators Local 12 and a resident of Queens Community Board 2. I've also been a Queens resident for 34 years. I'm here today to strongly support Amazon's plan to build its new headquarters in Queens because I know that this project will mean thousands of jobs, both for my brothers and sisters in the building trades and for our children and neighbors. This project will create thousands of construction jobs in Queens as Amazon retrofits current buildings, constructs new office buildings, and builds a 3.5-acre park by the East River. That means long-term construction jobs for members of the building trades, from heat and frost insulators like me at Local 12 to the carpenters at Local 926 and to the elevator constructors at Local 1. Amazon's new headquarters is more than just a construction job. It's a building for a future for our economy. While there will be thousands of construction jobs for years, Amazon's new headquarters will bring tens and thousands of jobs paying over $100,000 per year to Long Island City. We need to set up jobs and careers for the next generation. These jobs will serve and attract more tech companies, creating a cycle of job creation for union construction workers and tech employees. Now, I know there's a lot of opposition to the Amazon HQ2, but I know this project will be good for my union, good for my community, and good for my city, and I'm proud to support it. Thank you.
Oh, you have a question, Michael?
Board members, I just want to see if you understand that our primary opposition is to the way this deal was set up and not having any community input into it. You get that? Because we do support the unions, for sure. Okay. Thank you.
Tom Gresh?
Good evening, all. My name is Tom Gretsch. I'm the president and CEO of the Queens Chamber of Commerce. We've been around for 111 years, and we're the oldest and largest Chamber of Commerce and business organization in Queens County. We have over 1,100 members representing 90,000 Queens-based employees. 90% of our membership have 10 or fewer employees. Here's why we support the Amazon decision. From our perspective, it's 25,000 local jobs. By the way, I'm also on a member of that 45-member CAC, and I intend, on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, my 45-member board, and all those thousands of members, to get what we need out of this project. It's tough to say no to 25,000 jobs. 238 other organizations nationwide fought for this opportunity. I get calls from Houston, peers even in Newark, and other areas of the country of, why is there such opposition? The comment that woman just made a moment ago about the fact that it was done in, I wouldn't say in secrecy, but within the confines of a required MOU, which every other organization was required. All 238 were required to sign an MOU to even get to the table for this opportunity. It is what it is. It is what it is. Could it have been handled better? Sure, I guess everything could have been handled better in many, many different ways. But at the end of the day, 25,000 high-paying jobs is a huge opportunity for people in Queens. It also, part of my agenda for the opportunity there is to get Amazon to buy local and shop local. If they have contracts out of Seattle for the myriad numbers of procurement, I'd like to have them buy here. I want to have them buy here in Queens from their opportunity. And the last comment I'm going to make is those odds of a $3 billion investment of the taxpayers' money of the city and state of New York, that's going to yield $25 billion over 20 years. If they don't bring the jobs, they don't get the reimbursement. But a 9-to-1 ratio, I'll take that any time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you. David Yang, is that right? Okay.
Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Good evening. My name is David Yang, and I am here today as a lifelong Queens resident. Grew up in Elmhurst. Parents raised me in Rego Park, and now I live in Jackson Heights. I'm also here as the co-founder of a tech nonprofit called Pursuit. We are a nonprofit organization that trains the next generation of leaders in technology. Through our coding fellowship, we help adults in need become professional software engineers. We've helped former waiters, former mechanics, former janitors, people out of jobs get jobs in technology. Our organization is committed to helping New Yorkers in need, and New Yorkers in need that have immense potential. On average, students come in making $18,000, and they come out making $85,000 at the end of 10 months of training. We're proud that they're working as professional engineers at leading companies like Pinterest, LinkedIn, Oscar, and Kickstarter. We started in 2011, and we have worked to ensure that New Yorkers from every background and community have access to these jobs. New York City is now home to 134,000 tech jobs. We started our organization here in Queens because we see the potential of our community to become the inclusive and diverse community. Our cohorts are 50% women, 60% Black or Hispanic, 60% do not have college degrees, and 40% are immigrants. Nearly half of our students are on public assistance. These are the residents that we envision joining the new tech force that Amazon will bring. Amazon will create tens of thousands of jobs, of well-paid jobs, and we're excited to work with them to create pathways for our local community to get those jobs. We will be partnering with Amazon
on their HQ2. As part of the partnership, we will run the Job Training Center and help design the spaces so that they're representative and inclusive. My co-founder, Juke Su, is also a member of the Community Advisory Committee that I know many of the members here are part of as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Hold on, sir. I have a question.
What's the name of your organization again?
Pursuit?
Pursuit.
Yep, pursuit.org is our website.
And you're based in Jackson Heights?
We're based in Long Island City.
Yeah, what was the former name?
So we were Coalition for Queens, and we recently rebranded to Pursuit to really embody this larger idea of how we want to connect with the American dream. I think we want to provide opportunity to more Americans, and we really saw that as an opportunity.
When you were Coalition in Queens, were you also tech-focused at the time?
Yeah, we're always tech-focused. We've always seen the opportunity in technology. We started in 2011, and we've been running this program. We've trained over 300 individuals. They're working across America, really. And we really see Amazon as an opportunity to create this diverse and inclusive tech community.
Are you aware of the turnover rate that Amazon has, that they churn through their employees? And does that concern you? And do you have plans for helping your
Sure.
young people be able to work in a dehumanizing place like Amazon?
Yeah, so we initially started as a 10-week program. Now we're actually a 4-year program. We provide 10 months of training, and then we provide 3 years of career support after people come out of their program, because we really saw those challenges in the tech industry. So we provide one-on-one career coaching to make sure that students stay on the job. It's like college, right? You can get in, but you really need to stay there. So for us, we really saw that as our opportunity. So for 3 years after the initial training, we stay in touch with our students and help them stay on the job and hopefully become not just junior engineers, but senior and hopefully CTOs in the future.
I have to apologize. I know my question is pointed, but I think there is a misconception that the difficult, challenging working conditions are only for people in warehouses, where I know people who have had these well-paying jobs in Seattle and had to leave, and tons of people around them had to leave because it was just a dehumanizing.
Sure. I mean, I think there are definitely a lot of challenges in technology. One of our initiatives actually is trying to tackle that. It's a program called Level Up. We partner with tech companies that have a blue-collar workforce. They go through our program, and then they get rehired as engineers at the organization. That's one way that I think we're trying to tackle this larger issue. We've been working with companies like Managed by Q, who, they provide janitorial services to tech companies. And I think there are bigger challenges, but I think it's incumbent as us as a nonprofit and as an organization to tackle these things.
One question.
Yeah.
So the question I was hearing seemed to be specific to Amazon. And so I just want to clarify, and you kept saying tech companies in response. So your understanding, since you've been doing this a long time, is the practices that Nancy is talking about are prolific in all tech companies or most tech companies?
I think there are lots of challenges across all different
I'm
companies.
actually quite serious about. I'd like to know.
I think in our partnership with Amazon, I think we will, advocate for.
I'm asking about your experience now with other tech companies. You're training people to be in these. You were saying we're training people to
Sure.
work in these conditions and to
Sure.
survive these conditions.
Sure.
So I'm asking you if that's something that you think is indicative of most tech companies.
I like to be an optimist and hope that.
Okay, you're not answering.
I don't think, but I don't know that he can answer it. I don't know.
I'm here to represent my organization that's trying to provide opportunities for low-income residents against the tech industry. So.
Do you already have this partnership with Amazon, or is this like a theoretical?
We don't, but we do work with other tech companies in this capacity. Our goal is to create a tech community that's as inclusive as possible. As I mentioned, our students come. We really want the tech community here in New York City to be representative of New York City. I think there's an opportunity, that's different than San Francisco, which, has all of its issues, with diversity and so our initiative is trying to push that.
So just on a follow-up, do you have an access point to develop that? like relationship with them, or
With Amazon?
Because I keep hearing like partnership, and you're really optimistic about it, but you don't have any experience with having a partnership with them, and so I just wanted to.
No, I mean, we are in conversations with, all the different stakeholders involved in this project, and we are partners on the project. We will be running the job training center that's been proposed as part of this project, and so all of these initiatives will be part of that.
Can I ask you a question? Were you part of the TF Cornerstone relationship for the LICIC?
Yes, we were part of the LICIC project as well.
And what was your role in that project?
We were co-developers with TF Cornerstone. We were helping to provide job training on site, but also help shape the space. And I think our role in this project will hopefully be similar. There are lots of conversations and details to be defined, but we are definitely optimistic about this opportunity and how we can work with Amazon to create this inclusive tech community that we want to.
So your hope is to continue the relationship that you have already crafted, and you just want to embed it in the new relationship.
Yeah, I think it's that, and if there are, Amazon's a different company and this is a different project, so we are still navigating the waters, but I do think there's a lot of opportunity to advance our work and advance the tech community here in New York City. Thank you.
Last but not least, Nikki Pagulayan.
Hello, my name is Nikki Pagulayan, and I am a member of Anakbayan New York, a grassroots Filipino youth and student organization that works to serve the rights and welfare of our Filipino community here in New York, specifically in Woodside. And I am a resident of Corona. We know what Amazon is capable of, given its atrocious and exploitative labor conditions for workers, its collusion with ICE, Border Patrol, as well as its power to displace and drive rents. So experience across the world, in the US, already even here in New York. So what conclusions can we really draw from Amazon potentially setting up here in this quote-unquote sanctuary city, and also potentially near the largest housing project in the Western Hemisphere? Not very good ones. Our experience in anti-gentrification work has been successful in squashing this megachurch development in 2016, unlike other Filipino and anti-gentrification organizations that are actually represented in this room. And the development would have increased traffic, crowding, introduced further development and rent increases for the Woodside community. I remember being in this room 1 year ago when the community board unanimously voted against it, against this anti-people development, and we were successful in ensuring that no such development would harm the Woodside community. But we recognize that it wasn't simply just this organization that won the campaign or even the community board. It's the community, the Woodside community, that mobilized against this. And we must remind ourselves that the success of any campaign begins and ends with the community that is impacted. Not the governor, not the mayor, or even the community board. Yes, community board, it's important for you to reject this deal, but not because you have the power, but because the communities you represent adamantly reject it. So now it's time for us to take action, because it's never too late. It's time for us to join organizations, to mobilize our neighbors, our workers, students, and unite organizations across the board, not even just in Queens, because the enemy is clear. The majority of this room, okay. Thank you.
Okay, anyone want to make a motion to adjourn? Okay, second. Good night, everyone. Happy New Year. See you next month.